Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk for a Friday edition. We are so happy we have made it on this Friday, and we have got some great weather. It has been fantastic all week long. We got some great weather this weekend as well. And let's talk more about the forecast with someone who is giving us the first alert when it comes to the great weather. That's meteorologist Patrick Ellis, who's always alerting us to the fantastic weather we're having. And when things change, of course, he's right there on a dime making sure we know about it. Patrick, it's going to be nice this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. The quiet weather looks to continue across the Mid-South. We need some rainfall so desperately, but unfortunately just not the case. The little bit that we got yesterday is about it for about the next 7 days. So giving you a first alert to dry conditions and warm conditions. So if you're a fan of some slightly milder air, I think we get that here the next few days as well, along with the dry conditions. So if you got outdoor plans, good, great, fantastic. But for the folks who need some rainfall, just nothing in the cards for us here in the short term. Out to the east of us, a different story. It's still got some ongoing rain showers across portions of East Tennessee as a system is pushing off towards the east. Actually, a few stronger storms can't be ruled out over in portions of North Carolina, South Carolina, and into Georgia here today. But for us, obviously, it's the sunshine that's going to win out. A live look from our High 5 camera at Northwest Mississippi Community College. Good morning to our friends in Tate County. You're starting off with temperatures generally in the upper 40s. We've got most spots 50s, a couple sprinkled in 40s here this morning. 48 in Oxford, Batesville, 47 Summerville, 53 as you're starting off in Dyersburg, in Blytheville, 52 Selmer, 50 in Corinth, 57 in Marianna. Beautiful day of weather setting up for us here today. I think tomorrow will look pretty similar. The only difference about tomorrow is that we're going to get a little bit warmer. A few clouds will sneak in here. High and mid-level clouds will sneak in here by the afternoon hours, but the weather looks to be pretty quiet for us, and it sets up well for the walk to end Alzheimer's at Tiger Lane. The walk starts at 9 o'clock. Of course, a lot of folks will be there about 8 o'clock as registration starts. Our very own Andrew Douglas here on the Action News 5 digital desk going to be emceeing that. Temperatures not looking half bad. A little cool to start off. 50s early on, 60s by 9, upper 60s close to 70 by 10 a.m. with a southwest breeze around 10 miles per hour. That wind is going to get a bit aggressive today and tomorrow for that matter, especially tomorrow afternoon with some gusts around 30 miles per hour out of the west and northwest. In the meantime, great weather across the area. Highs will top out today, upper 70s, close to 80 degrees with a fair amount of sunshine. 50s early tomorrow morning, some sprinkled in upper 40s in some of the cooler pockets off to the north and east. We will see those high clouds get a little closer to us. The question mark about the forecast tomorrow is the timing and the thickness of these high clouds. The thicker the high cloudiness, the more the sun is going to be blotted out, and that will take the temperatures down a couple of extra notches. More sunshine beaming through, obviously the temperatures will become a bit more prevalent, and especially with a westerly wind. Usually a west wind for us is a warming wind, and that will tend to boost the numbers up a couple of extra notches. So right now we're going to forecast low 80s, but I think that there could be a couple spots that go middle 80s for tomorrow, depending on ultimately how much cloud coverage we do get. We'll see some more clouds overnight of your Saturday into Sunday. Morning 50s to near 60 will rebound back up only to the middle 70s, which is about normal for this time of the year, and the winds coming out of the north and west around 10 to 15 miles per hour. First alert to dry conditions as well. Of course, circling back to the fact that we just don't see very much in the way of rainfall here in the next couple of days. This leads up to Thursday evening, and if this is correct, most of the rain staying out to the west of us, but there could be some showers sneaking in here by Thursday evening, Thursday night, into Friday. So there is a possibility. There's a system somewhere in the longer range that could sneak in here. Of course, you can see that with our extended 10-day forecast. That is on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. We encourage you to download that in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Whether you're going to be sticking around here in the Mid-South, you're going somewhere else this weekend, you have the power of the First Alert Weather team right there in the palm of your hand all hours of the day. So here's a first alert to that rain chance, and we'll time it out for you. This is looking ahead. This is next Wednesday. Storm system to the west. Cold front dragging itself towards the east. This is a sluggish moving system in a general sense. At any rate, the way that this system may push across the area is going to be very slow. Notice by Friday morning, rain to the west. It starts to ease a little further off to the east, but notice it's not a ton of rain, but at least an opportunity. We'll like to see that, right, as we go through the next few days. In the meantime, It's quiet today, lots of sunshine. Temperatures will top out near 80. Breezy, westerly breezes coming in, some gusts around 20, 25. Tomorrow, some gusts 25 to 30, especially late in the afternoon into the early evening hours. In a general sense, sunshine early, some clouds by the afternoon hours with a high in the lower 80s. Mid-70s coming up on Sunday and quickly rebounding towards the lower 80s. So if you're looking for those milder temperatures, yeah, we keep that going here. Overnight's generally 50s and 60s the next couple of days. And not a chance for rain until the end of Thursday into Friday, Saturday of next week. So hopefully we can get some decent rainfall. We desperately need it. The new drought monitor came out yesterday, expanded the moderate drought and the extreme drought, severe drought and the extreme drought, severe drought farther to the north, and includes more sections of the Action News 5 coverage area in the Mid-South. So, unfortunately for us, we're just digging ourselves a deeper hole when it comes down to the rainfall deficit. We're running about 2 inches below normal for the month, and a generalized about 3.5 inches of rain below normal since the beginning of September. And you go back into the summer months, you get into August, you start looking like 5 and 6 inches below normal. So we need some rainfall for this time of the year, but that would be the average for that time frame. Just so you know, Andrew, the actual rainfall for the entire year, we're actually running above average by about 2 or 3 inches. The issue is that we had a lot at the beginning of the year, and then we got to a point to where the tap was turned off. So we got a lot early on this year. We feasted on that, and now we're in a famine where we can't buy a drop of rainfall. And of course, traditionally, this is about one of the driest points of the year here in the Mid-South.
Well, I know you'll be watching it for us, Patrick, and appreciate the context there. And hopefully we'll get something in the next few weeks and next several months. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's take a quick break here as we take a live look from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. Gorgeous as the sun is about to come up on your Friday. 57 degrees, back in 60 seconds. Okay, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Right now, time is 7:08, and Memphis police are looking for a woman they say is responsible for a deadly shooting at a Midtown short-term rental house nearly 1 week ago. We have Action News 5 Sydney Hawkins now live to explain more about what police are saying. Good morning, Sydney.
Hey, Andrew, Memphis police say they believe 19-year-old Kyla Jones is responsible for shooting and killing a woman last Sunday at a Verbo rental during a house party. And a warrant for Jones remains active this morning. Memphis police say when they are able to arrest her, they will charge her with first-degree murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and reckless endangerment. The shooting happened in the 2100 block of Madison Avenue again last Sunday. Neighbors and people who are familiar with the short-term rental process in this Overton Square neighborhood were on edge, and Memphis police say they believe Jones and the victim knew each other.
One of the interesting things about this homicide, and we see it frequently, over 80% of our homicides in Memphis involve people that are acquainted in some form. And this is another one of those tragic incidents. Happened inside a house with people that are acquainted with each other.
Now, Memphis police also say Jones is no stranger to law enforcement. They say she was arrested earlier this year for domestic violence as well as vandalism. Those charges were eventually dropped, but again, they're asking anyone with information about where Jones could be this morning to contact them. Andrew?
Okay, Sydney Hawkins reporting live for us this morning. Sydney, thank you. All right, let's talk right now about what has happened in Orange Mound here. A police cruiser crash that happened involving a police officer. This is Semmes and Kimball, close to Cherokee Elementary. This wreck happened 1 o'clock this morning. We do have video here from the scene. It left a mess, of course, in the middle of the street. The other car involved looks to be very smashed up, possibly totaled. No word yet on what caused the crash. Memphis police officer taken to the hospital, and unknown right now the condition of that officer and the other person involved. Shelby County deputies investigating a deadly shooting in North Haven. Investigators say a gunman opened fire, killed someone at a convenience store on Breckenwood Drive and North Circle Road around 7 o'clock last night. So far, no word on an arrest in this case. Mid-South police officer facing felony charges this morning after she was arrested for reportedly attacking and robbing a Mississippi man. According to the Bolivar County, Mississippi Sheriff's Department, Piperton, Tennessee police officer Michelle Washington that you see there, along with Taiwan Johnson, were arrested and charged with strong-arm robbery in Bolivar County, both out on bond. The reportedly robbery happened around 1:30 last Saturday morning. Deputies were called by a man asking for help, saying he'd been assaulted and robbed at an Exxon station in Cleveland, Mississippi.
She does work for us. She is relieved of duty without pay, depending on the ongoing investigation.
So Officer Washington has been with the Piperton, Tennessee Police Department for the past 3 years. We're learning more about the shooting death of Jackson State University student ahead of the suspect's first court appearance later today. 19-year-old Joshua Brown charged in the shooting death of the 21-year-old. Jalen Burns back on Sunday at the University Point Apartments just off campus. Jalen's family says during the judicial process they hope to not only get justice for their son, but spread awareness about youth violence across the country.
We want everything to start from today, from our son. Somebody that we loved, somebody we enjoyed being around, somebody that we had hope for, to lead this family with the last name of Burns. And we're going to take a stance and we're not going to stop. Even though this is Mississippi, we're from Chicago, and we're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep pushing. We push in Chicago, we go push here. We're going to make a difference. I promise you that. In Jalen's name.
The family says they plan to be present during the first court appearance and in future ones. As the war intensifies between Israel and Hamas, President Biden is pledging support for Israel and Ukraine. He is trying to convince Americans the need for millions of dollars in both countries. Later today, the White House is expected to request $100 billion from Congress to deliver aid and resources to both Ukraine and to Israel.
It's a smart investment that's going to pay dividends for American security for generations. Help us keep American troops out of harm's way. Help us build a world that is safer, more peaceful, more prosperous for our children and grandchildren.
The Senate passed a resolution affirming support for Israel and the country's right to self-defense and condemning Hamas's attack on civilians. Cheering at Nashville International Airport this week, 60 refugees arrived in the U.S. to escape war. Shia Fund is an organization that helps refugees. The fund is currently working on another flight to help families stuck in Israel. Safety alert this morning. We want to tell you about more than 60,000 gun safes being recalled after a 12-year-old died. Fortress is recalling these biometric gun safes. A programming feature can allow unauthorized users, including children, to open the safe. There have been other reports of the safes being accessed by unpaired fingerprints. If you think you have one, contact Fortress for instructions on disabling the biometric feature and to get a free replacement. Well, costs are going up for the antiviral drug Paxlovid. Beginning next year, the drug will transition to the commercial market, costing nearly $1,400 at list price before rebates and other discount, more than double the $529 the federal government paid for the drug. Health insurance plans will likely pay much less for the drug, meaning patients could have small or no costs out of pocket. Paxlovid is currently given for free by the U.S. government. National Civil Rights Museum honoring those who they say show an unwavering commitment to promoting justice and equality through their work. The 32nd Annual Freedom Awards, hosted by Action News 5's Kelly Cook, paid tribute to three people: Dr. Claiborne Carson, Kerry Kennedy, and Stacey Abrams. Kerry Kennedy, the daughter of Robert F. Kennedy, leads a human rights organization named after her father.
I think we're both at a time of great challenge and also at a time of greater awareness. So every time a new issue comes up, I feel like this is not terrible news. This is great news because abuse happens under cover of night. And once it's in the headlines, people start to say, this is wrong, and I'm going to create change.
Ceremony also included a special tribute honoring the life and legacy of Harry Belafonte, who died this past April. Change on the University of Memphis campus. Centennial Place has been renamed Shirley C. Raines Centennial Place in honor of the former UF president. They credit Raines as being instrumental in many of the improvements on campus and in the city of Memphis. It was cut outside the Residence Hall on Central and Patterson in honor of Dr. Shirley Raines. We're going to take a short break here as we take a live look as the sun is coming up on a Friday. 57 degrees, 7:15. We'll be right back. Here in the Action News 5 digital desk, that is the cover of the Memphis Flyer on newsstands right now. Redefining prestige at Indie Memphis 2023. The Bluff City's premier film festival celebrates art, both high and low. And then we have the article inside. Joining us now to talk more about the article and Indie Memphis 2023, Chris McCoy on the Action News 5 digital desk. This is a big deal for Chris. He's our resident movie guru. Chris, good morning to you. Tell me how Indie Memphis is going so far. I know it. Next week it really ramps up, but by all intents and purposes, it's going to be another great year, right?
Yes, it is. It starts on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday, with a film called All Dirt Roads Taste of Salt, which is by Raven Jackson, and it has a very deep Memphis connection. It was written back in 2019 as part of a fellowship program, a fellowship program that the festival runs. And Raven Jackson, who's originally from Tennessee, lived in Memphis for 2 months while she finished the screenplay. And then just so happened that Barry Jenkins, who is won an Academy Award for Moonlight a few years ago for Best Picture, he was the judge that year of the fellowship program, and he picked up that script for his production company, and then they made the film. They took it to Sundance last January and sold it to A24, and it's just been wowing people all over the country. It's been in the every film festival it's been in. It's really killed, as they say, and it's really a beautiful film about rural life. It's set in North Mississippi and in like the 60s and 70s, and it's sort of the life of this one woman named Mackenzie, and it's just sort of scenes from her life and when she remembers being with her grandfather, and then when she's with her own children later on. And it's a gorgeous film, and everyone is very excited to have that one because of its deep Memphis roots. But there's a lot of great stuff this year that they've programmed. Thank you very much is just as a documentary that is about Andy Kaufman, the comedian, who had another strong Memphis connection because he had a wrestling phase, if people remember, and he came to Memphis to wrestle Jerry Lawler in the Coliseum, and it is, you know, Andy Kaufman's had a lot of films made about him. There was Man on the Moon back in the '90s, which where Jim Carrey played him. But I think this is the one that really like gets to the depth of who Andy Kaufman was. It's the best thing that I've seen documentary wise about Kaufman. And they got a lot of the filmmaker's name is Alex Braverman, and he got access to Bob Zamuda, who was Andy Kaufman's writer and best friend, and they got a lot of amazing footage that's never been seen before, and it's really it's a great documentary. And another great documentary is from Jeannie Finlay, who is a English director who directed she's done a lot of stuff. She was in Memphis for Indie Memphis for Orion several years ago, which was a film about the guy who impersonated Elvis after his death. And she also did the Game of Thrones documentary and the 6th season of Game of Thrones. And this film is called Your Fat Friend. And it is an amazing documentary about Aubrey Gordon, who is a writer and podcaster. Her podcast is called Maintenance Phase, and it's extremely popular among podcasters. But she writes about being fat and all of the stigma that's around that, and how also like dieting and that entire wellness culture sort of stigmatizes people who are overweight. And I mean, she says fat. That's the term that she wants, people to use about her. And it's just an amazing documentary. For one of the reasons it's an amazing documentary is because Jeannie Finlay found Aubrey Gordon before she got well known. So there are scenes in this documentary, for example, about she turned the camera on while she opened the email to see if she got a book deal or not. So there's just amazing slice of life stuff. And Aubrey Gordon's philosophy is just very interesting, and it was really thought provoking. And Jeannie Finlay's made a lot of good documentaries, but this one is just really from the heart, and it's amazing. We also have this year 8 made in Memphis feature films, which is just a huge number if you think about it. And Miriam Bale, who is the programmer, told me that they were having to get more selective about the Hometowner films. It used to be, and I've been involved in the Hometowner filmmaking community here for a long time, but it used to be like if you could just get your movie done, you could get an Indie Memphis. But now there's a lot of people who are doing it, and so they're getting more selective. They had 8 this year, including The Blues Society by Amanda Palmer, which is a film about the birth of the Delta Blues, the rediscovery of the Delta Blues in the 60s, and the group of people who through the blues, the first blues festivals at Overton Park in the Shell. And then there's also Scent of Linden as well, which is a Bulgarian film. So we actually have a Bulgarian immigrant community here in Memphis. It's not huge, but one of them, a woman named Sissy Denkova, worked in Hollywood for a while and came back and made this film about her community and about the immigrant experience as well. And this film has been playing. Well, it's actually opening in Bulgaria this week, and the people who've seen it have been like, this is a film specifically about Bulgarian immigrant community, but it's also sort of about the immigrant experience, like all together, everywhere. It's a very universal comedy, and it's everybody that's seen it has just loved it. There's a Princeton Eccles, Queen Rising, which came out last year, or had a premiere last year, which is a sort of a serial killer psycho thriller that was absolutely 100% homegrown here in Memphis. The film that I write about in my cover story is I Am, which started from an Indie Memphis Indie grant as a short film and grew into a full-length documentary about women, specifically Black women with anxiety disorder, and you know, how they are finding community and finding strength in community, knowing that they're not alone, you know. But there's a lot of also, you know, really big budget films. A big one that they got is American Fiction, which stars Jeffrey Wright as an author who is who writes about, he's an academic guy who writes novels. He can't get his novels published. And then he decides to try, and because he sees people trafficking in black stereotypes, so he decides he's going to try that as a joke. And instead, the novel that he wrote as a joke turns out to be like huge, and he finds himself perpetuating the same hypocrisy that he was railing against in the beginning. And I have not seen this film yet. I did sit in on an interview with the director, and I'm super excited to see that one. But I could go on. There's a lot of great stuff at Indie Memphis, and it's grown as an institution considerably in the last few years, especially in the last 10 years. And it's bounced back really strongly from the pandemic, and it's just going to be a really good show. And it's going to run from next Tuesday through the 29th, I believe, which is the next Sunday. And you know, it's going to be sunny this weekend, but it looks like it's going to be maybe cloudy and rainy next weekend, as we heard from the weather just a second ago. So, you know, this is a good weekend to stay indoors. You know.
No question about it, Chris. It's for someone who, and it's so great to hear all the talent that's coming to Indie Memphis this year and how it's grown year after year, especially after the pandemic. I love hearing it. If someone is just learning about this, relatively speaking, for you know, the first time or so, and they want to get involved, they want to check it out, what's your best advice? Because I remember you and I talked last time. You gave great advice for people who wanted to check this out.
Well, you know, I hear every year, and this is a culture that I'm steeped in. So it's surprising to me, you know, when every year I hear somebody like, film festival, what is that? You know, and which makes me step outside of myself, you know, is like, you know, not everybody has the same perspective or opportunities that I have, you know, but you can buy a pass from Indie Memphis that you can watch, you know, everything that you want. You know, you can come in on Tuesday and, like, you know, buy tickets. You get tickets for whatever you want from the website, and you can see it. If you just or you could just go and look on the schedule and look and see if there are, you know, individuals, because they're, you know, on the schedule online, that's on indiememphis.org, you can see, you know, the descriptions of the individual films. Sometimes they have trailers. Some of these movies are so new, they don't even have trailers yet. But you can watch the trailer, and if you feel like, you know, it's something that you want to check out, take a chance on it and you can buy individual tickets. You don't have to commit to an entire pass. My advice to people who've never really done the film festival thing before is find one or two of the shorts programs. And I believe the Hometowner Shorts program, which is always going to be huge, it's always huge. I think it's on Thursday night this year. And that will be, you know, these films last from 5 to 15 minutes, usually. 15-minute short film is a long short film. And what I love about going to the shorts programs, especially if you're not sure what you want or what you want to see, is that if there's a movie and you don't like it, it's going to be over in like 5 minutes, and you can move on to the next one. It's like a sampler play, you know? And so that's my advice to people if they're not sure. Find a shorts program and go to it. You know, there's a Hometowner competition shorts. There's also the Hometowner After Dark shorts, where there's sort of horror films and sci-fi stuff. There's Departures, which is the more experimental, weird side of short films. There's also you know, national and international shorts. It's not all Hometowners. So
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Just go. You know, and they work very hard to make sure that whatever you choose is going to be quality. So
Memphis
you can't
Flyer.
go wrong. That's right.
Memphis Flyer and MemphisFlyer.com. You should check out Chris McCoy's article to learn everything and anything you want about Indy Memphis 2023, starting on Tuesday, running all the way to Sunday. Chris, really appreciate the download. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
I want to show you now Art on Fire. It's billed as one of the hottest nights of the year at the Dixon Gallery. Beautiful here. And we are joined now by Jesse Wiley, the Director of Development Communications at the Dixon Gallery. Jesse, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about Art on Fire.
So tell me about it, because I remember we were talking about this for a while. I believe last year and the year prior. We know that it's exceptionally well attended. I love seeing the pictures here. Tell me more for people that really don't know much about it.
Sure. Well, you're right. It is the hottest night of the year. You see the bonfire there. We have a roaring bonfire outside. We'll be surrounded by about 1,200 of our closest friends and supporters. So it is very well attended, and over 20 restaurants will be there providing tastings and bites, wine and beer, of course. And we will celebrate the season of fall, and most importantly, we will celebrate the education programs here at the Dixon.
And that's what it's all about, right? I mean, it's about fundraising for the Dixon and everything that the Dixon does when it comes to education and people that are there. Tell me more about it. So we got restaurants, we got entertainment, and this is all to give back to the Dixon. Tell me more.
Yes, absolutely. So we are so proud that our education programs reach over 100,000 people every year. People of all ages, both here at the Dixon and throughout the community through our outreach programs like Art to Grow. We visit Shelby County schools and beyond. We host several art therapy programs here, like painting with Parkinson's disease, and Art on Fire really fuels these programs and helps sustain the great work we do throughout the entire year.
Okay, and right now we're showing a little bit of this flyer for this year's event. So this is Saturday, October 21st here. It's a 21 and up event, and tickets are now available. Dixon.org/artonfire. How much are the tickets?
Yes, and we're really excited to share, this is great news for the Dixon, that general admission tickets are almost sold out. So if you would like to come, act now. If you are a member of the Dixon, that general admission ticket is $60. So great benefit for being a member. If you're not a member yet, the general admission is $75. And then we also have a VIP hotspot experience for $250. That includes specialty catering by Capital Grille and Park and Cherry, an open bar, and indoor restrooms and VIP parking. So that hotspot ticket is definitely worth it.
It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. I love seeing these pictures, and based upon everything you're saying with the restaurants and entertainment and 1,200 people showing up, it just sounds like a great time. And this is all going for Dixon and its education department and everything else it does in terms of outreach. Anything else you want to mention, Jesse, before we let you go?
Yes, well, I can't get off without saying thank you to Evolve Bank and Trust. They are our presenting sponsor, and they're wonderful partners of the Dixon and Art on Fire. And another shout out to both Butler Snow and Alaya Wealth Partners that help sponsor this event. It's just going to be so much fun. We can't wait to see all of our supporters on Saturday. The weather will be great, as you just mentioned, and it'll be a very unique and engaging event. You won't want to miss it.
Okay, Jesse Wiley, the Director of Development Communication at the Dixon Art Gallery, Dixon Gallery and Gardens. It looks amazing. I am so happy for you and for everybody else across the Mid-South. They're going to go and have such a great time. And yes, you're right. The weather is going to be picture perfect for this event. So thanks so much for talking to us about it, and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk for a Friday edition. We are so happy we have made it on this Friday, and we have got some great weather. It has been fantastic all week long. We got some great weather this weekend as well. And let's talk more about the forecast with someone who is giving us the first alert when it comes to the great weather. That's meteorologist Patrick Ellis, who's always alerting us to the fantastic weather we're having. And when things change, of course, he's right there on a dime making sure we know about it. Patrick, it's going to be nice this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. The quiet weather looks to continue across the Mid-South. We need some rainfall so desperately, but unfortunately just not the case. The little bit that we got yesterday is about it for about the next 7 days. So giving you a first alert to dry conditions and warm conditions. So if you're a fan of some slightly milder air, I think we get that here the next few days as well, along with the dry conditions. So if you got outdoor plans, good, great, fantastic. But for the folks who need some rainfall, just nothing in the cards for us here in the short term. Out to the east of us, a different story. It's still got some ongoing rain showers across portions of East Tennessee as a system is pushing off towards the east. Actually, a few stronger storms can't be ruled out over in portions of North Carolina, South Carolina, and into Georgia here today. But for us, obviously, it's the sunshine that's going to win out. A live look from our High 5 camera at Northwest Mississippi Community College. Good morning to our friends in Tate County. You're starting off with temperatures generally in the upper 40s. We've got most spots 50s, a couple sprinkled in 40s here this morning. 48 in Oxford, Batesville, 47 Summerville, 53 as you're starting off in Dyersburg, in Blytheville, 52 Selmer, 50 in Corinth, 57 in Mariana. Beautiful day of weather setting up for us here today. I think tomorrow will look pretty similar. The only difference about tomorrow is that we're going to get a little bit warmer. A few clouds will sneak in here. High and mid-level clouds will sneak in here by the afternoon hours, but the weather looks to be pretty quiet for us, and it sets up well for the walk to end all Alzheimer's at Tiger Lane. The walk starts at 9 o'clock. Of course, a lot of folks will be there about 8 o'clock as registration starts. Our very own Andrew Douglas here on the Action News 5 digital desk going to be emceeing that. Temperatures not looking half bad. A little cool to start off. 50s early on, 60s by 9, upper 60s close to 70 by 10 a.m. with a southwest breeze around 10 miles per hour. That wind is going to get a bit aggressive today and tomorrow for that matter, especially tomorrow afternoon with some gusts around 30 miles per hour out of the west and northwest. In the meantime, great weather across the area. Highs will top out today, upper 70s close to 80 degrees with a fair amount of sunshine. 50s early tomorrow morning, some sprinkled in upper 40s in some of the cooler pockets off to the north and east. We will see those high clouds get a little closer to us. The question mark about the forecast tomorrow is the timing and the thickness of these high clouds. The thicker the high cloudiness, the more the sun is going to be blotted out, and that will take the temperatures down a couple of extra notches. More sunshine beaming through, obviously the temperatures will become a bit more prevalent, and especially with a westerly wind. Usually a west wind for us is a warming wind, and that will tend to boost the numbers up a couple of extra notches. So right now we're going to forecast low 80s, but I think that there could be a couple spots that go middle 80s for tomorrow, depending on ultimately how much cloud coverage we do get. We'll see some more clouds overnight of your Saturday into Sunday. Morning 50s to near 60 will rebound back up only to the middle 70s, which is about normal for this time of the year, and the winds coming out of the north and west around 10 to 15 miles per hour. First alert to dry conditions as well. Of course, circling back to the fact that we just don't see very much in the way of rainfall here in the next couple of days. This leads up to Thursday evening, and if this is correct, most of the rain staying out to the west of us, but there could be some showers sneaking in here by Thursday evening, Thursday night, into Friday. So there is a possibility. There's a system somewhere in the longer range that could sneak in here. Of course, you can see that with our extended 10-day forecast. That is on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. We encourage you to download that in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. Whether you're going to be sticking around here in the Mid-South, you're going somewhere else this weekend, you have the power of the First Alert Weather team right there in the palm of your hand all hours of the day. So here's a first alert to that rain chance, and we'll time it out for you. This is looking ahead. This is next Wednesday. Storm system to the west. Cold front dragging itself towards the east. This is a sluggish moving system in a general sense. At any rate, the way that this system may push across the area is going to be very slow. Notice by Friday morning, rain to the west. It starts to ease a little further off to the east, but notice it's not a ton of rain, but at least an opportunity. We'll like to see that, right, as we go through the next few days. In the meantime, it's quiet today, lots of sunshine. Temperatures will top out near 80. Breezy westerly breezes coming in, some gusts around 20, 25. Tomorrow, some gusts 25 to 30, especially late in the afternoon into the early evening hours. In a general sense, sunshine early, some clouds by the afternoon hours with a high in the lower 80s. Mid-70s coming up on Sunday and quickly rebounding towards the lower 80s. So if you're looking for those milder temperatures, yeah, we keep that going here. Overnights generally 50s and 60s the next couple of days. And not a chance for rain until the end of Thursday into Friday, Saturday of next week. So hopefully we can get some decent rainfall. We desperately need it. The new drought monitor came out yesterday, expanded the moderate drought and the extreme drought, severe drought and the extreme drought, severe drought farther to the north, and includes more sections of the Action News 5 coverage area in the Mid-South. So, you know, unfortunately for us, we're just digging ourselves a deeper hole when it comes down to the rainfall deficit. We're running about 2 inches below normal for the month, and a generalized about 3.5 inches of rain below normal since the beginning of September. And you go back into the summer months, you get into August, you start looking like 5 and 6 inches below normal. So we need some rainfall for this time of the year, but that would be the average for that time frame. Just so you know, Andrew, the actual rainfall for the entire year, we're actually running above average by about 2 or 3 inches. The issue is that we had a lot at the beginning of the year, and then we got to a point where it just, the tap was turned off. So we got a lot early on this year. We feasted on that, and now we're in a famine where we can't buy a drop of rainfall. And of course, traditionally, this is about one of the driest points of the year here in the Mid-South.
Well, I know you'll be watching it for us, Patrick, and appreciate the context there. And hopefully we'll get something in the next few weeks and next several months. Thanks so much.
No problem.
All right, let's take a quick break here as we take a live look from our High Five camera. Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. Let's check in with our friend Talisa Franklin, WAVN The Trend, joining us now to talk about the community, the culture, the conversation. Always positive, always having a great day, no matter what. Talisa, how you doing?
I am wonderful. I have, of course, no complaints. I am yet breathing, and watching you and talking to you, it means everything to me. And just get an opportunity to connect with people. Because you know what, Andrew, I always tell people, you never know what somebody is going through and how your attitude, the way you make them feel, can make them feel better about themselves. Because, you know, everybody is not nice. And so the few of us that want to be nice in this world, we got to keep on shining in this world.
Exactly. And you're so right. We don't know what people are going through, so we just need to keep that positive disposition because it's infectious. It'll make everybody, feel positive. So what's happening?
Hey, listen, y'all already know we always have so many great things that's happening in our community. And I tell you, on this Saturday, I am super excited about the farmers market. I absolutely love going to the Breath of Life Raleigh Farmers Market that's at the Breath of Life Church. It happens every third Saturday. I'm going to tell you what I love about it, because I get my fresh Memphis honey, I get fruits, and I get my vegetables, and I'm helping local small businesses that are there, and I'm getting an opportunity to connect with the community. And so listen, if you like to go out shopping, meet new friends, and get fresh product that's actually grown right here in the city of Memphis, then all roads lead to Breath of Life Christian Center, where the Raleigh Farmers Market happens every third Saturday, and I absolutely love it. Y'all know it's about Thanksgiving time. You gotta get those good sweet potatoes for those sweet potato pies and those candy yams. So y'all need to go ahead and get them from somebody right here locally, so we can keep our locally owned businesses and helping them yield the results in which they deserve. And so y'all know, and then it's live food demonstration. So if you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to put those vegetables together, baby, those demonstrations are amazing. One week I went and they did some chicken salad. It was like, oh my, you gave me a different twist to the chicken salad. So you never know what's going on. And just shout out to City Councilwoman Rhonda Logan. Her family is the pastor of that church, and they really do a great job of doing things for the community that the community benefit from. So shout out to you, Councilwoman Rhonda Logan, for making sure that that community has all that it needs. And I cannot wait to see y'all this Saturday at the Raleigh Farmers Market at the Breath of Life Christian Church. And then y'all know it's Alzheimer's, right? We all know that somebody we know that is dear to us that are facing Alzheimer's. Listen, we can't never say when it's going to happen, when it's not going to happen. You know, if the Lord say it's going to happen to us, but then we have other people that we're just walking for the awareness. And so I want to invite you to join this amazing organization, Walking With Us, Walk to End Alzheimer's. And listen, it's happening on October the 21st. So if you have not registered, come on, Bluff City. Y'all, we can do this together. Go ahead and register for this great event. It's going to be at the Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, which many of us know is the Liberty Bowl. Let's get there on Hollywood and let's support. And maybe you said, Talisa, I can't do all that walking. Listen, it doesn't stop you from clicking that button and saying, I'm a support and I'm going to be standing for somebody that can't stand. You know, I've experienced somebody that's very dear to me that is walking into this space, and it's a really uncomfortable space for me, but I love him so much, and I know that God is going to continue to send cures to making sure that he continue to live his vibrant life. And so for that, I am excited to stand, and I want you to stand as well. So listen, that's what's trending this week. Get you some good fruits and vegetables, and next weekend, make sure you be a part of the walk, the Alzheimer's walk. Let's fight the walk for awareness for that event.
Absolutely. I'm the MC for that event, so I'm going to see you out there. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's several years ago, so it's a big deal to me. And so, yeah, we're walking, and the whole idea is walking to end Alzheimer's. And some of the advancements that we've seen over the last several years, very encouraging, Talisa.
Absolutely. And, you know, I didn't even know you were a part of it. It's just like great minds think alike, right?
Yeah.
Because we have a love for our community, and we have to do all this together, y'all. Let's do it. We can do it, and we can do it together.
You got it. I love it. And I'm so excited I'm going to see you out there. So that's great news, too. Already excited about it. And even more
Yay.
so now that you're going to be out there, Talisa. Thanks so very much. We
Absolutely.
appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
Back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, there is a national campaign that is focused on raising awareness and educating Americans about the value of clean water, clean drinking water. And it's called Imagine a Day Without Water. It educates people about where our water comes from, where it goes, and what it would mean if disrupted. Let's bring in someone who talk about more about this campaign and some of the goals here. I'm joined by Christy Herowski, the director of the Value of Water campaign. Christy, good morning to you. Tell me about this campaign, A Day Without Water. How is it going? How did it develop? And tell me about its effectiveness over the years. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me. Sure. So Imagine a Day Without Water is a national day of action that brings us together to celebrate the value of water and also to acknowledge that it is absolutely essential to our daily lives, to public safety, to a healthy environment, and even to a thriving economy. So water is not just a resource, but it's really a lifeline for us, and yet so often it is taken for granted. So imagine for a moment if you woke up this morning, you turned on your shower and no water came out. Or an example that I like to use, if you went to your local coffee shop and you ordered your coffee, but you were turned away because they had no water with which to brew it. So these are kind of lighthearted examples, but elevating awareness around the true value of water is key to understanding that it's not free. It takes people and it takes working infrastructure to deliver it equitably across the country and to your tap.
You know, the clean drinking water is a huge deal here in Memphis. We have some of the best tap water in the world, and so anything that would disrupt that is such an issue here. Tell me why there's such a relevance when it comes to the issue of clean drinking water right now, Christy.
Yeah, absolutely. Water in the United States is a critical issue right now. First and foremost, because for more than 2 million Americans, living a day without clean water is a harsh reality. It's not just something to be imagined. And communities of color, low-income communities, those that have been historically marginalized, are much more likely to lack access to clean and safe drinking water. And also, water is in need of investment now more than ever. You know, people tend to think of water as a crisis in a different country or in different places in the world, but here in the United States, the state of water is fragile. And unless we start investing in our infrastructure, our very old infrastructure, we soon will be moving toward a state of crisis as well.
Okay, and where can our audience go for more information on this, Christy?
Well, please visit our website. It's imagineadaywithoutwater.org. It's full of information about the value of water and ideas for how you can get involved in your local community to support your local water solutions.
Okay, Christy Herowski, Director of Value of Water Campaign. Thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk this morning, giving you a first alert to a beautiful weekend across the Mid-South. But we hope for a little bit of rainfall at some point in time, right? We need it desperately, but just not in the cards for us, at least in the next couple of days. Today, more sunshine, temperatures in the 50s early on towards 80 degrees today. Winds coming out of the west. Some gusts around 15, 20, 25 miles per hour today, as you'll notice here on the Futurecast winds. They'll turn more northerly late today. We'll have some gusts around 20, 25 miles per hour. Winds will go calm tonight, but they'll turn more westerly tomorrow. The thing about that westerly wind is it's typically a warmer wind for us. So by tomorrow afternoon, it's really going to get cranking. Some gusts around 30 miles per hour will be possible across the Mid-South as that frontal boundary, another frontal boundary, starts to make its way into the area. It's a dry front, though. We will see a few clouds associated with said front, but no rain showers associated with it. Here's a look at the Futurecast temperatures on our way to the upper 70s, sitting near 80 degrees here today. We'll drop back down through the 50s to start off early on your Saturday morning. From there, a rebound right back towards the 80s. Here's the thing about tomorrow's forecast. Some high clouds streaming in, actually not from the Gulf of Mexico, but actually from the Pacific. It comes from a tropical system, Norma, moving onshore in Mexico. For us, again, we'll just see some high clouds, no rain showers. But the question mark is, how thick will these high clouds be, and the timing of those high clouds. The quicker those clouds get in here and the more invasive those clouds could be, the temperatures may be a little bit cooler. If not, if we end up with more sunshine, the atmosphere would produce highs likely in the middle 80s for tomorrow. So definitely a warm day expected. We're going to go low 80s for highs just because of that factor of we could see those high clouds streaming in here, but still nonetheless it's going to be a warm day no matter how you shake it, especially comparatively to normal for this time of the year where the average heights in the mid 70s. We'll go for 50s and to near 60 to start off on Sunday, and a quick rebound back to the middle 70s with sunshine for your day on Sunday. Speaking of which, again, there you go, 82 to 75 with that weak frontal boundary dropping into the area. Filtered sunshine on Saturday because, again, those high clouds streaming in later in the day, but I think we start off the day with full sunshine. Looking ahead to the football forecast, Arkansas and Mississippi State in Fayetteville. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff. 84 degrees, though, by probably the end of the game. 86 up in Jonesboro as A-State is at home. UAPB and Valley and JSU going for high temperatures in the upper 80s tomorrow to near 90 degrees. Tennessee taking the road trip to Tuscaloosa to go up against Alabama. That's the 2:30 game tomorrow. 83, mostly sunny skies. We'll keep the sunshine theme going just up the road along I-2059. And Birmingham for the Memphis Tigers going up against UAB. And then TSU in Nashville. Gorgeous day of weather, near 80 degrees. And Ole Miss, a late game on the Plains against Auburn, going for a high of 77 degrees in southeast Alabama. So a look ahead. We're looking towards a chance for some showers. We need it desperately. It's going to be down the road a couple of days. There's a frontal boundary that will start to make some progress in our direction that could bring us some rain opportunities as we go towards the back end of the week next week, and maybe some cooler weather to go along with it as well. But in the short term, just not really working for us. So if you're looking for some rain, just nothing to really work with us here in the next couple of days. A high near 80 today. We'll go low 80s going into your Saturday. It's breezy as we go through the next few days. And those breezes, especially tomorrow, some gusts around say 25 to 30 miles per hour. 75 as we head towards your Sunday, and then a rebound towards the lower 80s heading throughout much of next week. So well above average for this time of the year. And notice on the back end of that 7-day forecast, as much as we'd love to see this be a little closer to us, the rain chances are pretty slim and on the back end of that forecast. And unfortunately, as we've seen the modeling the last couple of days, it has actually gotten progressively later and later. So that's something that we'll be watching for over the next few days, is when that system will finally make some progress in our direction to actually bring us some rain and maybe some cooler temperatures. But in the meantime, dry and mild. That's the story here in the Mid-South.
Good morning, everyone. 57 degrees, 8 o'clock as you're taking a live look from our High Five camera. Downtown Memphis, sunshine just blanketing the area. We're going to have another great day ahead with highs in the mid to upper 70s. We have your forecast coming up in just a little bit, but right now I want to talk about how Memphis police are looking for the person who broke into a pharmacy in Harbortown yesterday morning. They stole cash and medication. According to police, the burglar broke through the back door, stole more than $100 from the register of Harbortown Pharmacy on Harbortown Square. That pharmacist then called police after the break-in. Surveillance video shows the suspect in a black hoodie, black pants, face mask, and gloves. Also showed him with a crowbar. If you know anything, please call or text Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. That number is 901-528-CASH. I want to show you this. This is a woman that's been charged after she brought her 2-year-old pet to the Humane Society. It died there. According to the affidavit, Tyranny Draper brought her dog into the vet's office last week, admitted the dog had not had a meal since August. She thought the dog was sick. She said she couldn't get help due to car trouble and finances. She's been given a $5,000 bond for animal cruelty. All right, there is no doubt that Memphis has a crime problem. We all know it. We all have seen it. And this year is quite depressing when you think about how much we all love Memphis. But Memphis city leaders are looking at how increasing crime numbers are affecting the perception of our city to visitors and potential businesses in downtown Memphis. Action News 5's Kelly Cook is exploring new data that surveyed hundreds of residents and visitors about where they feel the safest. Take a look.
This is a snapshot of Beale Street on any given afternoon in downtown Memphis. Lots of tour buses, even more tourists.
Tell me what brought you here to Memphis.
Well, it's part of our tour package coming down the Mississippi, and of course, Memphis being on the Mississippi.
Steve and Gail Harrison from Racine, Wisconsin have been making the most of their trip to the Bluff City.
We're headed over to the museum, the Rock and Soul Museum. That's where we're going now. And like I said, we were at Sun Studios this morning.
They dined on Bill, enjoyed Mud Island, marveled at the St. Jude complex.
Tomorrow we're going to the Bass Pro Shop.
The Harrisons seemed to fit the research done by Memphis Tourism and highlighted in an extensive downtown Memphis safety plan released Wednesday. Tourism officials tracked perceptions of crime downtown through social media posts and surveys. What they learned about key tourism landmarks downtown still seemed to be positive, but people, quote, feel unsafe venturing much further. Data also showed in 2022, 5% of social media posts mentioned something about downtown Memphis crime.
We know that the perception of safety is really important.
Mary-elect Paul Young says lowering crime across the city is important, but downtown Memphis is critical because of the economic impact. In a survey of more than 600 people who live, work, or visit downtown Memphis, participants were asked how they would rate the level of overall safety in the downtown area, 0 being the least safe. 1 got the majority of responses. Beale Street is where most said they feel the unsafest, which is not what we found from these Memphis visitors.
But really, what's not to like? The weather's been perfect. We've seen some incredible sights, and for the most part, I think Memphis has got a lot going on for it.
In downtown Memphis, Kelly Cook, Action News 5.
A mission to combat the rise of domestic violence in Memphis, the Family Safety Center, City of Memphis, held a workshop at an East Memphis library to raise awareness. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The event included speakers, information, multiple citywide agencies trained to respond to domestic violence situations, as well as helping victims of domestic violence.
I hope that I exemplify to those that are here today boldness, bravery, truth, honesty, and sincerity, that you can get out, you can survive, you have to have a plan, utilize your resources, and you can thrive and survive after divorce, after leaving domestic violence.
Organizers urge anyone experiencing domestic violence to reach out for help today. Resources can be found right now on our website, actionnews5.com. Memphis-based International Paper is closing 3 facilities in the coming months. None are in the Mid-South. This week, the company announced facilities in Texas, Ridgewood, North Carolina, Pensacola, Florida will all be affected here. Chairman and CEO Mark Sutton said the closures are to strengthen its manufacturing. The hope is that many of the 900 positions will be current vacancies and retirements. Benefits and outplacement assistance will be provided to employees who will lose their jobs.
All right, well, have you gotten your flu shot yet? We actually had somebody come up to the station. I got my flu shot a couple weeks ago. We're getting into that flu season. A lot of times it starts in October, really hits the peak starting in December to February. And so we want to talk this morning about some myths that maybe go alongside the flu and how people perceive the flu and think about the flu. So joining us here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk is Dr. Sarah-Lynn Walters, the Director of Ambulatory Services at Regional One Health. Doctor, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I am great. How are you?
Doing well. Glad to have you here on the desk. Let's go ahead and just dive in and just talk about some of these. I got a list from you with maybe some of the top 10 myths that people think about when it comes to the flu.
So I would say the first thing that you usually hear is that the flu shot gives the flu. And that is incorrect. Basically, what happens is that the flu shot is giving you a primer to if you were to be exposed to the flu virus itself. And so what happens is that your body then responds to that, and that's your immune system ramping up as it would when you do catch the flu. So there is commonly soreness, maybe some chills, maybe a slight fever that people can get after the flu shot, but it is actually not the flu at that time. The flu is usually more aggressive, lasts a whole lot longer than a few hours or maybe a day that you'll have with the flu shot.
A lot of times people think too, they're like, well, I'm healthy. I mean, why do I need to get the flu shot? I mean, is it really going to help me? Why do I need it if I'm already a healthy person? What would you say about that?
So I would link it to COVID a little bit in that healthy people died from COVID. So it doesn't mean healthy doesn't stop you from potentially having the flu and then subsequently getting something like a pneumonia or, problems breathing and ended up in the hospital. And so you want to protect yourself from things that we can prevent. And those things are definitely one of the things you can prevent with the flu shot. Subsequently, the flu also affects, younger kids who don't have significant immune systems as yet, and older persons. As they get older, your immune system starts to weaken. So if you have a child or an elderly parent or grandparent or anything around, then you also want to be able to protect them by getting the flu shot yourself.
What about when people say the flu vaccine can cause severe side effects?
So I really say that, all vaccines, the purpose of them is to trigger your immune system. And every once in a while, someone may have an immune response that is more aggressive than what we expect. So we have had people who have what we call Guillain-Barré, which is a response to either infections or vaccinations where there is some paralysis. If people have had that before with a vaccine, then they're the ones that should not be getting the flu vaccine or any vaccines after that as a response, because you can have another response that way. There are some byproducts of the flu shot, such as egg, where if you have an egg allergy, you may have a more severe response as well. But for the most part, the side effects of the flu vaccine, as we talked about before, would be sometimes soreness. You can get a little bit of chills, fevers, kind of muscle aches, but those are temporary and do not last very long.
There's some people too that they're like, well, I got the vaccine, I still got the flu. So, I mean, why get it? I don't think it works. What kind of response would you say to those people?
Yes. And so the vaccine isn't 100% to prevent you from getting the infection, but what it does is it reduces your chances of, one, having severe symptoms, two, potentially dying from the infection. and 3, reducing how long you've had the symptoms. So again, I'll keep linking it to COVID-19 because that was the thing that was on people's mind that's very similar in that, COVID vaccines as well as the flu vaccines, you're still potentially can get the infection, but it usually is less severe with less complications, including death.
What about pregnant women? And when they say pregnant women shouldn't get the vaccine, or people say that, is that true?
No, actually, pregnant persons should get vaccinations because, especially with your baby, they don't have an immune system that has formed as yet. And so you want to give them all the possible things that they could be protected, because your antibodies, which is what forms after you have an infection or you have a vaccine, is transmitted to that baby. And so before the age of 6 months, they're unable to get a flu shot or some of the other vaccinations. And so when that baby is delivered and they have your immune antibodies to help protect them, then you're giving them that chance of not being one of the few that does end up getting really sick from this infection. So definitely you want to have it, especially if you're breastfeeding, you have those antibodies that also transfer to your baby through breast milk. So you want to give them that fighting chance that they don't have a bad response to an infection.
That's some good information. Okay, so I was reading this one and I thought it was worth mentioning that the myth where it says you can't spread the flu if you're feeling well.
That is untrue. And so the first couple days of most infections, you usually don't have a whole lot of symptoms, but that tends to be the time that you're actually most infectious. And so you are more likely to pass it on during the times that you don't think that you have the infection. And then once symptoms start to form, which usually happens in 24 or 48 hours after your exposure to the virus, you're still infectious at that time, but you could have already passed it on before you have those symptoms.
All right, well, I know we're getting low on time here, but I wanted to touch base on one more where people say getting the flu vaccine is all you need to protect yourself from the flu. What do you say to that one?
So I will say during COVID-19, we had some of the lowest numbers of influenza, and that was not because of the flu vaccine. That was because we were doing things like covering our mouths. When we were sick, we were staying home. We were washing our hands. So you want to continue to do all those things when especially the winter time when we have flu, RSV, COVID, colds, lots of respiratory viruses that all seem the same. You want to ensure that you're washing your hands if you have a cough, that you're covering your mouth, wearing a mask if you need to. When you feel sick, stay at home from work. And you want to prevent and increase your immune system as much as possible. So you want to do your vitamin C's, increase water before you get sick and not while you're sick.
Well, some great tips there, informative for me as well. Dr. Walters, I appreciate you taking time and hopping on here on the digital desk and really sharing some good tips and breaking some of those myths that maybe people have always said when it comes to the flu vaccine. Thank you so much.
.58 degrees at 8:14 as we come to you on this Friday morning. Looking good downtown. We'll be talking more about your forecast in just a little bit. Right now, the U.S. State Department is warning all of the U.S. embassies around the world to review their security as the war intensifies in Israel. Mike Valero has this update.
A deadly explosion rocking a Gaza neighborhood not far from homes where children are playing. Outside of a hospital, mourners pray over the body bags of victims. The grim effects of war that's erupted in the Middle East captured on video. A war that the Israel Defense Forces say may not have an end in sight.
This will not be short. And even if we'll have to expand the campaign in case another enemy gets involved, we'll know how to handle it.
With fears that a humanitarian crisis is spiraling out of control in Gaza, the United States and the European Union are calling for Israel and Egypt to allow aid across the border.
The Palestinian people are victims of Hamas too. And that is why I welcome your decision yesterday that you took to ensure that routes into Gaza will be opened.
Now, on the heels of a high-stakes visit to the war-torn Middle East, President Biden is slated to address the nation Thursday evening.
To lay out his view of this extraordinary moment that we are in when it comes to our national security and international stability, with a highlight and a focus, obviously, on the conflict in Israel and his visit.
Thousands of Memphians are collectively taking part in a Healthier 901 challenge, trying to lose 1 million pounds over the next 3 years. If you're unsure of where to start, check out Ladies' Night at the Cordova YMCA. This Saturday night, that's tomorrow night from 6 to 8, you can try out free fitness classes like Power 40, Potty Pump, Zumba, yoga, even chair-based classes for those with mobility issues. Space is limited, so be sure to RSVP at healthier901.com or through the link on our website, actionnews5.com. Okay, so did you know, and you probably do, but about 99% of all Fortune 500 companies now use artificial intelligence or AI as a screening tool for resumes, and that means some simple mistakes on your resume could cost you big time. It was the subject of a Best Life report this week. We're going to be talking about what mistakes you could be making in this report. Check it out. You might spend hours perfecting your resume, but get this, 3 out of 4 are never seen by a real person. That's because AI screening bots are weeding out resumes at most large companies.
AI technology is here to improve our lives, right? But it's probably more likely to destroy our lives.
Honestly, I think resumes are being overlooked now.
To get your resume past the bots, you'll want to avoid common mistakes. First, don't include photos. The scanning bots can only process text. Another mistake is not having keywords from the job description in your resume. Be sure to include them, but don't overstuff your resume. Aim for 2 to 3 keywords. Also, don't make your layout too different. Your resume should have a clean, simple layout with standard margins and clear headings. Creative fonts can also confuse AI bots. Stick with safe choices like Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri. Another common error is using an incorrect file type. It's best to use common ones like Docs or PDF. The last mistake is not providing context when listing your accomplishments. Instead of saying increase sales by 30%, try something like implemented a new marketing strategy that increased sales by 30% in the last quarter. Researchers say it's also important to remember that AI won't recognize humor or sarcasm, so it's best to use a professional tone and provide precise information. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5. Halloween, 11 days away. You can get in the spirit by buying a new costume, supporting Playhouse on the Square. The theater group will host a costume yard sale today. We caught up with CJ Thomas, said many of the costumes were on hand, stitched by the people working behind the scenes.
We do have our big costume sale happening on Friday and Saturday of this weekend, which is really, really exciting. And so we do get a lot of costumes in. Doing 15 shows, we go out and buy costumes, people donate costumes, stuff like that. We use it for the show, and some of these costumes never get used again. So what a better time than around the Halloween time than to offload some of our costumes. And we have, this is just a few racks that we have here.
All right, he said the costumes will be inexpensive. All are welcome. Sale begins at 10 o'clock this morning, as you just heard. Well, if you've lived in Memphis for any time, you know that we have some of the best tap water in the world, and as a result, we have so many breweries in town that make so much great beer. In fact, Grind City Brewery is said to have one of the most unique views in the Memphis area. Kim Clark has more in this 5-star story.
A beautiful view from 76 Waterworks Avenue, just off North 2nd in North Memphis, where Grind City Brewing Company sits in the shadow of a grain and barge depot. The perfect place to celebrate Oktoberfest, according to the brewery's events director.
And because of our unique property, we're able to service a lot more people than a normal brewery would be able to do. It's a celebration not only of beer and Oktoberfest, but also coincides with our anniversary as a tap room.
Taking care of beardness for 3 years now, Grind City is the brainchild of Hopper Seeley. Yes, a hops man named Hopper. He says he wanted to get in the game after working jobs for almost a dozen other breweries.
And we started looking at areas and found this piece of property, and the vision was immediately like, I'm gonna plant a brewery here, and we're gonna completely start the momentum in North Memphis.
In addition to nearly 5 acres of land, the property includes a World War II Quonset hut that Seeley says was filled with wood from the previous business.
So this was the Tri-State Veneer and Plywood company for roughly 90 years. They were around just making different bent chair parts, chair legs, chair backs, everything.
All those leftover wooden chair backs, molds, legs, and other wood gave Seeley an idea, building on the history of Tri-State.
So all the wood that's in our tap room is actually from the chair factory itself. The bar tops, the tables, the legs, all of it is from the chair factory. Even in our beers, the blueprints that are in the background of each can is actually a blueprint of the chair's manufacturing.
The wood that you see, I made glue for it.
Maintenance manager Gordon Glass worked at Tri-State for about 50 years, starting at age 17, and still works in the same facility, but now for Grind City Brewing Company.
So they asked me to stay. So I thank God being around my brother. This is my family.
Seeley and crew say it's that sense of community that elevates the craft beer experience at Grind City Brewing.
The main goal is when you actually get here, we want to make sure that you get your beer fast, you get to hang out with your friends and family here, and when you leave here, it's just the whole package.
So one of the biggest things here that's a founding pillar is community. For us to be a representative of the area is really an incredible opportunity for us.
Grind City brews and cans on site. This amber lager is called Thaddeus. It's one of 4 beers offered year-round, in addition to 7 limited releases and a hard seltzer called Memphis Mule.
Yes, we put a lot of energy into making sure that our beers are delicious, consistent, and always fitting a variety.
And while you can purchase Grind City brews at grocery stores and bars around the region, Seeley believes the brewery's tap room truly adds something special.
We want to be the pub of Memphis, and pub is now just a term for a bar, but it was for public gathering. So we want to be the public gathering point of Memphis, especially North Memphis. And no name fit that better than Grind City.
Cheers to that. In North Memphis, Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk this morning, giving you a first alert to a beautiful weekend across the Mid-South. But we hope for a little bit of rainfall at some point in time, right? We need it desperately, but just not in the cards for us, at least in the next couple of days. Today, more sunshine, temperatures in the 50s early on, towards 80 degrees today. Winds coming out of the west. Some gusts around 15, 20, 25 miles per hour today, as you'll notice here on the Futurecast winds. They'll turn more northerly late today. We'll have some gusts around 20, 25 miles per hour. Winds Winds will go calm tonight, but they'll turn more westerly tomorrow. The thing about that westerly wind is it's typically a warmer wind for us. So by tomorrow afternoon, it's really going to get cranking. Some gusts around 30 miles per hour will be possible across the Mid-South as that frontal boundary, another frontal boundary, starts to make its way into the area. It's a dry front, though. We will see a few clouds associated with said front, but no rain showers associated with it. Here's a look at the futurecast temperatures on our way to the upper 70s, sitting near 80 degrees here today. We'll drop back down through the 50s to start off early on your Saturday morning. From there, a rebound right back towards the 80s. Here's the thing about tomorrow's forecast. Some high clouds streaming in, actually not from the Gulf of Mexico, but actually from the Pacific. It comes from a tropical system, Norma, moving onshore in Mexico. For us, again, we'll just see some high clouds, no rain showers. But the question mark is, how thick will these high clouds be, and the timing of those high clouds. The quicker those clouds get in here and the more invasive those clouds could be, the temperatures may be a little bit cooler. If not, if we end up with more sunshine, the atmosphere would produce highs likely in the middle 80s for tomorrow. So definitely a warm day expected. We're going to go low 80s for highs just because of that factor of we could see those high clouds streaming in here, but still nonetheless it's going to be a warm day no matter how you shake it, especially comparatively to normal for this time of the year where the average heights in the mid 70s. We'll go for 50s and to near 60 to start off on Sunday, and a quick rebound back to the middle 70s with sunshine for your day on Sunday. Speaking of which, again, there you go, 82 to 75 with that weak frontal boundary dropping into the area. Filtered sunshine on Saturday because, again, those high clouds streaming in later in the day, but I think we start off the day with full sunshine. Looking ahead to the football forecast, Arkansas and Mississippi State in Fayetteville. That's an 11 o'clock kickoff. 84 degrees, though, by probably the end of the game. 86 up in Jonesboro as A-State is at home. UAPB and Valley and JSU going for high temperatures in the upper 80s tomorrow to near 90 degrees. Tennessee taking the road trip to Tuscaloosa to go up against Alabama. That's the 2:30 game tomorrow. 83, mostly sunny skies. We'll keep the sunshine theme going just up the road along I-2059. And Birmingham for the Memphis Tigers going up against UAB. And then TSU in Nashville. Gorgeous day of weather, near 80 degrees. And Ole Miss, a late game on the Plains against Auburn, going for a high of 77 degrees in southeast Alabama. So a look ahead. We're looking towards a chance for some showers. We need it desperately. It's going to be down the road a couple of days. There's a frontal boundary that will start to make some progress in our direction that could bring us some rain opportunities as we go towards the back end of the week next week, and maybe some cooler weather to go along with it as well. But in the short term, just not really working for us. So if you're looking for some rain, just nothing to really work with us here in the next couple of days. A high near 80 today. We'll go low 80s going into your Saturday. It's breezy as we go through the next few days. And those breezes, especially tomorrow, some gusts around say 25 to 30 miles per hour. 75 as we head towards your Sunday, and then a rebound towards the lower 80s heading throughout much of next week. So well above average for this time of the year. And notice on the back end of that 7-day forecast, as much as we'd love to see this be a little closer to us, the rain chances are pretty slim and on the back end of that forecast. And unfortunately, as we've seen the modeling the last couple of days, it has actually gotten progressively later and later. So that's something that we'll be watching for over the next few days, is when that system will finally make some progress in our direction to actually bring us some rain and maybe some cooler temperatures. But in the meantime, dry and mild. That's the story here in the Mid-South.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 Digital Desk. We want to tell you about the Orpheum Theater downtown, such a great staple for Memphis and the Mid-South. Well, they have announced the return of Camp Say. Now, this is a free 2-day camp for young people who stutter, and it's from ages 8 through 18. I want to bring in someone who can talk more about this camp. I'm joined now by Jennifer McGrath. She is Orpheum Vice President. She's also someone who knows more about this camp. She's a part of the engagement with the community, also education, and she joins us now on the digital desk. Jennifer, how are you?
Hi, good morning. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Appreciate you being here. I remember talking about this camp last year, I believe, and it sounded like such an incredible opportunity for anyone who is perhaps fearful or has lack of self-confidence when it comes to stuttering. Is that some of the objectives out there of this camp?
Absolutely. I think the really beautiful thing about the camp is that it is meeting every single young person that comes exactly where they are. So sometimes we have young people attending the camp, as you said, that maybe are a little bit nervous. Maybe they have never met another person who stutters before. Maybe they think they're the only one, or maybe they're lacking in a little bit of confidence. And if that's where they are, that's absolutely perfect, and we're thrilled to meet them there. We also have young people that are here and they have got a lot to say, and they come in the door ready to jump up on stage and perform. So it really, really runs the gamut. But the beautiful thing is that the camp is designed to meet every single person where they are on their journey. And a lot of people don't know that over 70 million people in the world stutter, including 5% of young people. So it really is about putting young people that share this thing in common together in the same space to create a sense of community and let them know that they're not alone, no matter where they are on that confidence journey.
So I know this camp takes place next month, November 18th and 19th. Talk to me about how the Orpheum is the perfect setting. I mean, you mentioned just a minute ago, they get on stage and it really helps their confidence, doesn't it?
It sure does. It sure does. I mean, I think to answer your question, here at the Orpheum, we're often known for our work in terms of training artists and focusing on performing and singing and dancing and acting. And we do all of that. But as of late, we've also really sort of shifted our focus a little bit to also include programs that are using the arts to simply make better human beings, right? And there are a lot of ways that we can do that. You mentioned the confidence boost is huge, right? The sheer fact of being in a community, knowing that you're not alone, what that can do for your mental and physical well-being, your healing, your journey. And then, of course, being able to express yourself creatively and freely, right? At Camp Say, there's no pressure on anybody to get up on stage and perform. I want to say that, but we spend a lot of time together in community creating and making things and holding space for young people to express themselves. And then whoever does want to share is, of course, able to go up on stage. And it is really a miraculous, radical thing to see young people that often walk in the door on the first day completely full of trepidation, a little bit nervous, not wanting to maybe raise their hand or speak. And then oftentimes just 48 hours later, you mentioned it's only a 2-day camp, we see them either in their groups collaborating and speaking out among their peers, or some of them, like I said, even jumping up on that stage and reading a poem they wrote or singing a song or performing a dance. And you can just see them come alive. And so the camp is really about like when we hold space and we just give everybody a little bit more time to speak. That's the only difference between a person who stutters, right, and a person who doesn't, is that it just takes them a little bit more time. And I think in the world, when we all take time to slow down a little bit and listen to one another, truly, truly remarkable things can happen. And we see that at Camp Say all the time.
Okay, so November 18th and 19th is the camp, and you're asking people to register a little more than a week prior. So you want people to register by November 10th. Tell me how big the camp typically is. Is it 50 children? Is it 150? Give me a sense of how many people and where can they register?
Absolutely. So the registration is all online at the Orpheum's website. So that's orpheum-memphis.com/camp-say. All of the information is right there. There's a simple application to fill out. And as you mentioned, yes, ideally, you'd be able to do that. We say that the registration closes a week before, and that's, of course, so that we can make all the necessary arrangements and prepare things. But even if somebody were to not hear about the camp until, a little bit later, if they want to come, we want to have them. So there's also information of like, even if the registration link is closed, how you can follow up so that we can make sure to get that young person in. In terms of the numbers, we have been running this camp in Memphis. It's part of a national program with our partnership with SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, who are based out of New York City. But we've been running the Camp SAY across the USA in Memphis for 6 years now. And across those 6 years, I actually just checked, we've served over 100 students, which is really amazing. Each camp session is, has ranged from, I would say the smallest, maybe about 25 to the largest, maybe being about 40, 45. And we like to keep it somewhat small in each session so that we can really give each young person the attention that they deserve. But like I said, over the course of those 6 years, because some have come and aged out, some campers have been coming every single year for all 6 years, which is amazing. So over the course of those 6 years, we've served over 100 young people who stutter, and that community just continues to grow. And I will also take the time to say that anything that anyone can do to help spread the word, right? If you're a speech language pathologist, or if you're a young person who stutters, or a parent or a relative of someone, or an educator, we want to make sure to get the word out, because this program is completely free. It's for these young people, and we want to make sure they know about it and can get over to us here at the Orpheum.
Okay, Jennifer McGrath, we appreciate your time. Again, this camp totally free as well, November 18th and 19th at the Halloran Center in downtown Memphis. Jennifer, thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's talk a little bit about diabetes right now and some of the issues associated with diabetes. It is a disease when the blood sugar or the blood glucose is too high. It affects about 37 million adults and youth in the U.S., about 11% of the population. Let's talk about preventing diabetes and the health problems associated with it. I'm joined now by Dr. Griffin Rogers, Director of the National Institute of Diabetes and Digestive and Kidney Disease. He joins us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Dr. Rogers, nice to have you back. Let's talk about how exactly diabetes affects the body and what kind of health problems it causes. Good morning.
Sure. Good morning. And, thanks for having me on your show. Of course, November we're coming up on National Diabetes Month, and the theme for this year is the Take Charge of Tomorrow, Preventing Diabetes Health Problem. You quoted the statistics in terms of the total number of people in this country. The numbers are in terms of the percentage of population, are even higher in Tennessee at like 12.2%. High blood glucose, as you pointed out, as a result of diabetes, can damage blood vessels and the nerves in the body. And it's more likely that you will suffer diabetes with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, which can also damage those nerves. As a direct result of that, individuals with diabetes are at increased risk of heart attacks and strokes, certain types of cancer, and it can affect the kidneys, the eyes, the teeth, the feet. Diabetes is the leading cause of non-traumatic amputation in this country. And in fact, almost any organ system can be affected by the ravages of diabetes. So managing the diabetes as soon as possible after the diagnosis is critically important to try to avoid these serious health complications.
Yeah, I was going to say, managing diabetes, that is certainly an issue. And I know a lot of people find it difficult. It's certainly an issue here in the Memphis, North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee area. Do you have maybe some suggestions or some tips for people who are having trouble managing diabetes or making lifestyle changes?
Sure. Well, managing the diabetes, we have this mnemonic called the ABCs, which is something useful to kind of remember and talk to your healthcare provider about. A stands for the A1C, which is a test that manages or that measures your average blood sugar in the previous 3 months. The B stands for your blood pressure, and the C stands for your cholesterol. And as I mentioned, those values either independently or together can cause damage to the blood vessels. So working with your healthcare provider and setting goals, individual goals for your A1C tests and your blood pressure measurements and your cholesterol are vitally important. Things that you can do in the meantime, though, are managing your eating plan and choosing fruits and vegetables and whole grains and foods that are lower in calories and fats and sugar and salt, for example, are extremely important. And drinking water more often as opposed to sugar-sweetened beverages, critically important. Another thing that you can do is your physical activity. And for most adults, that's 30 minutes a day of physical activity. Of course, you can join a gym, but it's just as easy to walk 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And if you can't do it all in one setting, you can break up the 30 minutes into 2 15 minutes or 3 10-minute segments. And then finally, getting proper sleep. We know that for most adults, that's 7 or 8 hours of sleep per night. And we're now learning that sleep has a major impact on your ability to maintain a healthy weight, as well as maintaining your blood glucose or blood sugar values in an acceptable range.
It's fascinating, to hear the different ways that people can really get their blood sugar under control and really kind of prevent diabetes from happening. Anything else you want to mention, Doctor, before we let you go with regards to this? Again, diabetes certainly a prevalent issue here.
No, absolutely. The one thing I would say is that, as in any chronic disease, feeling stressed and sad and angry is quite common among people with diabetes. So working with a healthcare counselor or working closely with your friends and families and telling them about your feelings can oftentimes be sufficient to get you, out of these moods and improve your overall level of control. Trying to relax by doing deep breathing or gardening or tasks, whatever your hobby is, or walking again. And as I said, trying to get the 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night can improve your mood as well as your energy levels.
Got it. Okay, Dr. Griffin Rogers, we appreciate your time this morning. Very valuable information for our audience. Thank you very much.
Sure. And if your listeners, your viewers would like more information, please visit our website at niddk.nih.gov, or they can follow us on social media at niddkgov.
All right, 58 degrees at 8:45 here on the Action News 5 digital desk. The governor of Arkansas just signed an executive order that will remove what she called woke language from state documents. Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders gave examples of what she considered woke terms like pregnant people, birth giver, laboring person, calling them nonsense terms. She says the language order is a way for her to defend women. In Mississippi, there's the possibility of a runoff in the governor's race for the first time in state history. A constitutional provision that could prevent statewide candidates who win a majority of the vote from taking office is no longer a thing. Before 2020's vote, candidates had to win both a majority of the popular vote and a majority of the 122 House districts. Now, it's all up to voters and would go to a runoff if no candidate gets more than 50% of the vote.
This is a bigger issue of a race, so I like the fact that this one gets to go to the people, and really everything else still goes to the people. So I like the fact that we did get to decide the results of the election instead of the House.
And don't forget, the November election is November 7th. All right, with home prices still at all-time highs in many parts of the country, it's easy to get swept up in a bidding war. Experts and researchers say that means you could end up with buyer's remorse. We have consumer investigator Rachel DePompa to talk. She talked with an industry analyst about ways to navigate this housing market, especially with interest rates going up, the highest we've seen in quite a long time.
12% of Americans surveyed by Bankrate last spring regretted not getting a better mortgage rate on their home. Buyer's remorse is real. It's the anxiety or regret you may feel after making a big purchase like a house. Jeff Ostrowski, a Bankrate.com analyst, says the real estate market over the last 2 years has made a lot of buyers rush into decisions.
Unlike buying other things like a car or a TV, a house is not an impulse buy, and it takes a while to resell if you decide you don't really like it. And there's no money back guarantee, there's no return shipping.
Ostrowski says one big reason for remorse is that buyers just feel like their budget is really squeezed, because not only are they making the mortgage payment, but they have to pay for the homeowner's insurance, property taxes, and even repairs or maintenance that they just weren't expecting.
One thing hinges on how far you're moving. So if you're moving to another part of the country, the best advice is to not buy in a place that you've never really experienced. So if you're moving across country, rent for 6 months or a year and just figure out what you like, what you don't like, what neighborhood you want to live in.
He also says be realistic about what you want. A lot of buyers get homes in neighborhoods that maybe weren't their first choice. They aren't that close to work or school. He says if you're not sure about a house, err on the side of caution and wait before you make an offer. Don't rush. With this, watching your wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
A first alert now about scams you may not know about that's on the rise. It targets you probably at shops that you go to on a regular basis. So scammers are hitting stores like Kroger, Home Depot, CVS, Walgreens, those that sell gift cards. They take these gift cards, they remove the code, and then they put them back on the shelves. One man's out hundreds of dollars as a result.
So consequently, between June the 20th and those two on October 13th, I have $750 floating in cyberspace somewhere that I don't have access to.
So what you want to do is you want to make sure that the gift card is intact, that it's not been taken off the shelves or anything scratched off of it. The Better Business Bureau suggests if you find yourself in this kind of situation, you can send the information to info@bbbmidsouth.org and someone will get back to you. Back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, where we are about to enter that season where people start to get those seasonal sicknesses, right? The cold, the flu, perhaps COVID, perhaps something else. How can you tell the difference between each of these illnesses, these sicknesses? Is there a way to do that? Are there certain symptoms? Let's bring in someone who knows. Dr. Brian Cavaney, he's LabCorp's Chief Medical and Scientific Officer, and he is joining us now to talk a little bit more about all of this. Dr. Cavaney, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us ways to kind of differentiate between all these sicknesses that we're about to go through? Good morning.
Good morning. The tricky part is there are many different contagious respiratory viruses out there, and they're a bunch of different, pretty ambiguous symptoms. So you can't really tell which specific virus you have based just on the symptoms that you're experiencing when you come down with it.
Okay, so how do we differentiate then between all these different viruses? What's a way to really kind of look at the differences and say, okay, this is a cold, or this might be COVID, or
right.
Is it a function of testing?
It can be. I mean, we think about the big ones, COVID, flu, and RSV, that we're hearing about a lot in the media, but there are dozens of other respiratory viruses that cause common colds too. Adenoviruses, rhinoviruses, other coronaviruses, and other things out there. And there's about 10 to 12 different symptoms that we've all had in our life, from headaches and runny nose and a sore throat and a cough and swollen lymph nodes and a bunch of other things. It's hard sometimes. It depends often on other underlying chronic conditions that you may have, or whether you have allergies or typical sinus problems, these kinds of things. So you can't really know just because you have a fever, it's the flu, or just because you have muscle aches, it's COVID. Everybody responds a little bit differently. And so the only real way to know if you have one of the major ones for which there's a medication is to do a specific test for it.
Okay, and I understand there is this at-home triple test, something like that. Is that in fact the case, and how do we get our hands on one of those?
It is, yes. For the last couple of years, doctors and hospitals all across the country have been using a variety of LabCorp tests to specifically look for COVID, flu, and RSV in their patients, including a combination triple test where with one swab the doctor can send us that and we do these tests. What we've done is simply make that same test available for you at home so that you can order it. We FedEx the little kit to you. You swab your own nose with something that looks just like a Q-tip, and then send it directly back to us using FedEx to our laboratory. We run it on the same exact machines that we're doing the tests for doctors and hospitals, so the same level of sensitivity and specificity, and then get you the result back as soon as we can.
What's the price point on that test? It sounds like it could be high.
It sometimes depends on your insurance and whether or not you have symptoms and a variety of other factors. The list price on our website for someone who doesn't have insurance or is going to pay for it out of pocket is $129 for basically testing for 4 different things. It's COVID, flu A and B, as well as RSV in that one test.
What kind of trends are you seeing now when it comes to flu, COVID, RSV numbers?
Right now in mid-October, while we're speaking, it's relatively low with some pockets around the country, which is what we typically see. It's usually in late October, early November that we start to see those early flu cases popping up in schools and nursing homes and other places around the country. The CDC is currently predicting a relatively moderate surge of COVID this fall.
Not that I'm complaining.
Because right now it's still the Omicron subvariant that's circulating. Now, if we get another big mutation or big shift in the genetics of that, we could get another surge. The CDC is also predicting a relatively typical flu and RSV season, which again also starts to go up during the next month or two. So it's always a good time to be thinking about how you're going to prevent it and then take care of it if you do get
pictures?
it. The easiest and best thing that you can do right now is get the new COVID booster, which is completely different than in prior years. It is specifically targeted at the XBB subvariant
was
of
good
the
last
Omicron
week.
COVID strain, and then the flu vaccine is also new this year for the 4 most commonly circulating strains of influenza A and B around the world. For those over 65 or of other particular vulnerabilities, there's also an RSV vaccine that has recently been approved. So that's your preventive measure, but then if you do unfortunately get sick, take good care of yourself, get enough sleep, try hard not to transmit it to other people, and all of those other good measures that your grandmother probably taught you.
November 1st. All right, Dr. Brian Cavaney, Chief Medical Scientific Officer, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
What about, did you ever get video? No. Remember we, on that call said, just mock something up?
Yeah, they never did.
Hmm.
I mean, but it's in typical fashion, I feel like that's kind of been the trend where they seem geared up and they want to blow up concept and then they never follow through. But
I mean, I totally want that.
Yeah.
I want us to, I'd love to have a parking lot.
I would too, but I feel like I could probably ride her about getting stuff to us, but I don't want to do that.
Thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk this morning, giving you a first alert to a beautiful weekend across the Mid-South. But we hope for a little bit of rainfall at some point in time, right? We need it desperately, but just not in the cards for us, at least in the next couple of days. Today, more sunshine, temperatures in the 50s early on towards 80 degrees today. Winds coming out of the west. Some gusts around 15, 20, 25 miles per hour today, as you'll notice here on the Futurecast winds. They'll turn more northerly late today. We'll have some gusts around 20, 25 miles per hour. Winds will go calm tonight, but they'll turn more westerly tomorrow. The thing about that westerly wind is it's typically a warmer wind for us. So by tomorrow afternoon, it's really going to get cranking. Some gusts around 30 miles per hour will be possible across the Mid-South as that frontal boundary, another frontal boundary, starts to make its way into the area. It's a dry front, though. We will see a few clouds associated with said front, but no rain showers associated with it. Here's a look at the Futurecast temperatures on our way to the upper 70s, sitting near 80 degrees here today. We'll drop back down through the 50s to start off early on your Saturday morning. From there, a rebound right back towards the 80s. Here's the thing about tomorrow's forecast. Some high clouds streaming in, actually not from the Gulf of Mexico, but actually from the Pacific. It comes from a tropical system, Norma, moving onshore in Mexico. For us, again, we'll just see some high clouds, no rain showers. But the question mark is how thick will these high clouds be?
Have to budget a little more time
and
for
the
this
timing of those high clouds. The quicker those clouds get in here and the more invasive those clouds could be, the temperatures may be a little bit cooler. If not, if we end up with more sunshine, the atmosphere would produce highs likely in the middle 80s for tomorrow. So definitely a warm day expected. We're going to go low 80s for highs just because of that factor of we could see those high clouds streaming in here, but still nonetheless it's going to be a warm day no matter how you shake it, especially comparatively to normal for this time of year where they advertise in the mid-70s. We'll go for 50s and to near 60 to start off on Sunday and a quick rebound back to the middle 70s with sunshine for your day on Sunday. Speaking of which, again, there you go, 82 to 75 with that weak frontal boundary dropping into the area. Filtered sunshine on Saturday because, again, those high clouds streaming in later in the day, but I think we start off today with full sunshine. Looking ahead to the football forecast, Arkansas and Mississippi State and Fayetteville, that's 11 o'clock kickoff. 84 degrees, though, by probably the end of the game. 86 up in Jonesboro.
I was like, damn, dude.
As A-State is at home, UAPB and Valley and JSU
I'm glad
going
he's still
for
a part of our
temperatures
team, but
in the
I wish
upper
he was still
80s
reporting
tomorrow to near 90 degrees. Tennessee taking the road trip to Tuscaloosa to go up against Alabama. That's the 2:30 game tomorrow. 83, mostly sunny skies. We'll keep the sunshine theme going just up the road along I-2059 in Birmingham for the Memphis Tigers going up against UAB and then TSU in Nashville. Gorgeous day of weather, near 80 degrees. And Ole Miss, a late game on the Plains against Auburn, going for a high of 77 degrees in southeast Alabama. So a look ahead. We're looking towards a chance for some showers. We need it desperately. It's going to be down the road a couple of days. There's a frontal boundary that will start to make some progress in our direction that could bring us some rain opportunities as we go towards the back end of the week next week. And maybe some cooler weather to go along with it as well. But in the short term, just not really working for us.
Yes.
So if you're looking for some rain, just nothing to really work with us here in the next couple of days. A high near 80 today. We'll go low 80s going into your Saturday. It's breezy as we go through the next few days. And those breezes, especially tomorrow, some gusts around say 25 to 30 miles per hour. 75 as we head towards your Sunday, and then a rebound towards the lower 80s, heading throughout much of next week. So well above average for this time of the year. And notice on the back end of that 7-day forecast,
they're not
as
on
much
camera.
as we'd love to see this be a little closer to us, the rain chances are pretty slim and on the back end of that forecast. And unfortunately, as we've seen the modeling the last couple of days, it has actually gotten progressively later and later. So that's something that we'll be watching for over the next few days, is when that system will finally make some progress in our direction to actually bring us some rain and maybe some cooler temperatures. But in the meantime, dry and mild. That's the story here in the Mid-South.
All right, back here in the Action News 5 digital desks, 58 degrees at 9:01. So we got some new details about a case that has gripped the Mid-South following the death investigation of 4-year-old Sequoia Samuels. According to court records, Sequoia's mother, Brittany Jackson, and her boyfriend, Jalen Hobson, has been indicted for her death. Documents say Jackson admitted her daughter had been dead for weeks before she was reported missing in June. Memphis police found Sequoia's remains in a trash bag near the home. Both Jackson and Hobson are in police custody. They're facing first-degree murder charges and filing a false report. Jackson's bond set at $500,000, Hobson's at $50,000. Okay, a former Memphis police officer could lose the right to carry a badge in Tennessee. Last month, an Action News 5 investigation revealed that the officer violated policy with his taser so often he was nicknamed Taserface. And for the past 3 years, he's been with the South Haven Police Department after resigning from MPD before he could be disciplined. That could soon change, though, as Tennessee investigators are finally ready to weigh in on the allegations against him.
That's the $64,000 question. Why did they take so long? There's no question that MPD and the state of Tennessee, through the Post Commission and these national organizations, have structures in place to catch this sort of thing. The problem is, it doesn't seem that they're working efficiently.
You can find the rest of this story on our website, actionnews5.com. Germantown's one step closer to getting a new police chief. Board of Aldermen will consider appointing here the interim police chief, Mike Fisher, to the position. He's been in law enforcement for 30 years. Served in Germantown since 2005. Former chief Richard Hall retired last month after serving as police chief for 21 years. Fisher said he's ready to serve and protect people at Germantown. Board of Aldermen will meet October 23rd to consider Fisher for the position. Well, a sea of red and a final farewell. Family, friends, colleagues remember former Mark Tree, Arkansas Fire Chief Jamie McCrary. He died last weekend after fighting multiple forms of cancer. Jace Passamore shows us how the hero was honored.
A day of mourning.
I would make sure he knew how proud I was, how proud he made me to be being his sister.
For the family of Jamie McCrary. Hundreds lined the streets near the Mark Tree Fire Station to pay their respects to a hero gone too soon.
He was dedicated to his work, and he always wanted to do a good job. So he went to work, he made a living, he came home to his family.
Family, friends, and community. Those were the 3 words to describe Jamie. He was a man who meant so much to his community and those he helped during his time as a first responder.
He'd take his shirt off his back and give it to a person. And he dedicated himself to the fire department and to the community.
Jamie was also a teacher. He was handing his wisdom down to a younger generation of firefighters. Clarence Parrish has been with the department for years and trained under his leadership. Parrish said McCrary taught him everything he knows about firefighting. Do you think you would have the know-how that you have now?
No, sir, I wouldn't. He taught me how to roll the hoses up, how to run the trucks, and how to put out fires, how to fight fires.
Once at the church, the pallbearers carried a bright red casket up the stairs of First Baptist Church, where firefighters from all over and Jamie's family said their final goodbyes. Terry Davis, Jamie's younger sister, said she was so used to him being a big brother to her, but in his last months, Davis was right there by his side, caring for him with the same care he showed for her.
He was a good big brother to me. Like lately, like he just wanted me around, and that means a lot.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas here in the Action News 5 digital desk. This First Responders Day, we take a moment to recognize and thank our heroes for the sacrifices they make to keep our communities safe. And for many people, you might not know about the lasting impact that first responders, when they do their job, what kind of impact that has on their own health. Many firefighters and veterans are twice as likely to develop ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease, than those who haven't served in these professions. We're talking about something that is very debilitating. We're joined right now by retired firefighter, U.S. veteran Ken, who's going to share his personal story of living with ALS. And he's joined by his wife and primary caregiver, Andy. They join us now on the digital desk. Thank you to both for being a part of this interview this morning. Thank you. Ken, I want to hear from you. I guess, tell me your personal story as a firefighter and your ALS diagnosis. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having us and allowing us to share our story. My journey with ALS started when I retired from the Dallas Fire Department after 33 years in June of 2020. I was doing things around the house, chores, and I went out into the garage during that fall of 20, and I reached up to the third shelf to get a cooler down from the third shelf, and I noticed that my left arm wouldn't reach up as high as my right arm, and I was like, what the heck's going on? So I kind of struggled to shove it up there, and I was able to get the cooler down, but I noticed after that it was happening again and again. So I ended up talking with my doctor, and I went through a series of tests, and because you're a firefighter, a lot of times the medical profession zooms in on, oh, well, you were a firefighter for 33 years, so you've got a problem with your shoulder, or you have a problem in your neck, or something like that. So I went through a whole series of tests until finally, in the spring, summer, early summer of 21, one of the doctors said, you know, maybe you should go to the ALS clinic. So I went to the ALS clinic and started a bunch of tests there. And finally, on November 22nd of 2021, I was diagnosed with ALS.
Tell me about your time in the U.S. forces, and then how long, both with being someone as a first responders and being a veteran, how long of a time period was that?
Well, I was in the regular Army for 4 years active, and then I was 1 year active again as a recruiter for the Texas National Guard. I stayed in the reserves here in Texas for about another 7 years, and that time was kind of at the same time I was on the fire department. But regular Army was 4 years, fire department was 33 years. So I was right there in that 40-year range of sharing, you know, being able to help people and help protect our country.
So when you were diagnosed with ALS, what did you do immediately afterwards?
The day I was diagnosed, I would have been more surprised if the doctor had told me I had something else, because by that time, it had spread to my right shoulder and arm, and I was having difficulties with everything at that point with my arms. But after the diagnosis, I immediately kind of went into first responder mode. I mean, I just went ahead and figured out, okay, we got to have a plan. We're going to move forward. We're going to work on this. We're going to put the fire out. And I just kept moving forward. And part of that was being able to share my story at shareyouralsstory.com. And that's another great way of getting your story out. But yeah, we moved forward and worked on it.
Andy, I want to talk to you. You know, caregivers, they can feel so alone, just dealing with the process of being a caregiver. Can you share your experience and anything you'd like to say to other caregivers out there?
Yes, absolutely. When Ken was diagnosed, fortunately, we had a big tribe surrounding us, not only with family and friends, but fellow firefighters. So that was wonderful. And you lean into everybody that you can, because it can be a dark place and you are on your own. So everyone's experience is different. So, you need to partner with groups, family, whatever. And also what we do with Ken is we partner with MTPA, and then to share our story, to go to shareyouralsstory.com. And through that experience, we all can gain further information. Ken is currently on Radicava, and while it works for us, it may be different for other patients. So patients should always talk to their doctor. Visit radicava.com for full prescribing and patient information, and then make decisions moving forward for that.
You know, it's great to hear about that treatment, Andy, because I believe that through the ALS Bucket Challenge, which many of our viewers and perhaps you guys remember a few years ago, they were able to come up with that treatment because of all the extensive donations and research that was done from that. Ken, I want to leave you with the last word. Is there anything else you want to mention about this, about having ALS, this issue? Surprisingly to me, affects first responders in an extraordinary amount?
Yeah, I would tell all the first responders out there, all the firefighters, my brothers and sisters, I am you. I was a firefighter for 33 years, and now I'm having a life with ALS. But always remember, there's help out there for you. Go to shareyouralsstory.com, and that allows you to get your story out. But please understand, I was a firefighter too, and I'm you.
Ken, Andy, Sutcliffe, we appreciate you sharing your story with us. God bless you both, and thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
You may see them in gas stations, convenience stores, bars, and social halls, machines that look like slot machines, but play a whole different set of rules here. After spotting these so-called skill games in states across the country, our national investigative team wanted to know, are they legal? And the answer, according to investigative reporter Josie Sturman discovered, is very, very complicated.
For years, Ron Foreman has struggled with a gambling addiction he says cost him everything. After keeping it mostly under control for years, he relapsed in 2020 and began gambling again heavily, eventually cashing out a settlement check from a car accident and blowing every single dollar.
I had a $150,000 cash in October, and by December I was broke.
But Foreman's fortunes weren't lost among the bright lights and loud bells of a casino. He says he bet it all in gas stations and grocery stores in Missouri on unregulated video machines that look a lot like the slots you see in Vegas. They're called skill games, and they're spreading across the nation.
Those machines aren't slot machines like this one. The heavily regulated and taxed games based on luck that you'll find in casinos in states with legalized gambling. They're skill games like this one that look and sound similar. But with skill machines, players don't take a chance, they make a choice to win. And in many states, they've ended up in a gray area of what some consider unregulated gambling.
There are no regulatory restrictions on them, and they're literally hiding in plain sight.
Bill Miller is CEO of the American Gaming Association, or AGA. A study from the group estimates that in 2021, there were at least 500,000 unregulated gaming machines across the country, taking in more than $100 billion in bets.
They operate exactly like a slot machine without any of the protections for someone who might have a problem with gambling or somebody who might not be 21.
Our national investigative team spotted skill games in gas stations, convenience stores, and bars in Kentucky, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, and Virginia. Although some machines we saw clearly state there are age requirements to play, or that ID is needed to claim any winnings. Many machines have none of that, and no one verifying age or barring problem gamblers from betting.
I think that's crazy and very terrible policy.
But policy is where this kind of play gets tricky. It comes down to the difference between gambling and gaming, and state laws on this issue can be murky.
I never buy into this gray area because to me, you're either legal or illegal. It's black and white. We're legal.
Michael Barley is in charge of communications for Georgia-based Peso-Matic, one of the biggest skill game makers in the country. He says they've repeatedly proven they're not games of chance, but those two words again, skill games that require some choice and interaction from the players themselves.
And so the skill in this is essentially choosing the square that creates tic-tac-toe.
Correct.
And unlike slots, Barley says skill machine players on their games can see the outcome and know whether the next game is a winner before risking any money.
Once you get there, sometimes there's multiple combinations. You have to pick the best one.
Barley says many skill game makers and their supporters actually want regulation and are open to taxation, with business owners and charity organizations saying they've already benefited big. But people like Ron Foreman and his partner Vicki Young say addicted gamblers pay the true cost when it feels like these machines are everywhere they turn.
It's hard because you have hopes and dreams and you just watch them just be thrown away and for nothing.
Right now, I want to talk about human trafficking. It is becoming more and more of an issue, and finally it's starting to gain the stature and status it should be, because human trafficking is all over. It's been happening for years, and more you're hearing more about it because it is becoming more and more of an issue and a pressing concern in all 50 states, certainly here in the Mid-South. In fact, Mississippi has a group. It's called the Mississippians Against Human Trafficking, and it's moving to a yearly dinner in Hernando, Mississippi, putting on a day of community education about human trafficking. The Mississippians Against Human Trafficking was actually formed in 2018 to increase awareness about the act of human trafficking. Let's bring in someone who will tell us more about this issue and what's happening in North Mississippi right now. I'm joined by Lindsay Simmons. She is board president for Mississippians Against Human Trafficking. Thank you so much for joining us, Lindsay. How are you this morning?
I'm great. Thank you for having us today.
I appreciate you being here. So tell me about what's happening in North Mississippi. It looks like there's going to be an event that's happening in Hernando. Is that right?
That's right. We were formed about 5 years ago to raise awareness around the state. And, due to funding and staffing and COVID, we've mostly been in the Metro Jackson area, but we hired a new executive director this year, and she started reaching out and making contacts all over the state, and she just got a great response from North Mississippi and a request for us to come up there and host an event. So October 23rd and 24th, we'll be up there with a dinner, a fundraising dinner the first night with a survivor who will speak to us. And then the next day on the 24th is an all-day learning and action networking event, which is great for anyone, law enforcement, attorneys, district attorneys, anyone in the community who wants to know more. We'd love for them to come. But human trafficking is happening everywhere, and I think North Mississippi certainly realized that, and we're thankful they asked us to come and bring some more information.
I feel like human trafficking has been around a very long time, but yet only in the last few years have we really seen more prevalence about it in headlines, in news stories, and also in movies recently, where it's coming to light more. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is just because of technology. Human trafficking has been around since the beginning of time. We don't deny that, but certainly in the last few years, I know we've worked hard to raise awareness, and other organizations have as well. And we're seeing community members know how to report things and recognize things, and that's really helpful. Law enforcement is getting trained on the issue and recognizing where they're seeing human trafficking, and they may have before seen a drug case. Well, now when they go to work on that case, they realize some of those women involved are being trafficked, and it's just an increase in awareness. I don't know that the numbers of actual cases have actually increased, but we're thankful that people are recognizing it and knowing what to do about it. And a lot of that has come from emphasis on the national and state level. We certainly have some great statewide officials in Mississippi who've put this at the forefront, and we're thankful for that. We've seen some good legislation changes in the last few years. So it just seems like, with everyone having a phone in their hand and Facebook and news right at your fingertips, we're just becoming more aware of it. And we're grateful for that because it's certainly always been a problem.
Part of my research shows that a big issue is directly south of us on the U.S.-Mexico border, a very porous, open border where there's a lot of human trafficking. Where is Mississippi in all of that when it comes to all 50 states? How prevalent is human trafficking here?
Yeah, we're definitely concerned about the border issue. Just a lot of chaos going on down there, really. And anywhere you see any kind of natural disaster or people living with vulnerabilities, you're going to have trafficking, and those immigrants are certainly vulnerable. And that's part of the reason in Mississippi why we feel like our numbers are high. We have high rates of poverty and people who don't have a lot of education, and those are targets for traffickers. So that's why we see it a lot here. But we don't necessarily think we have this incredibly high rate more than other states. It happens everywhere in every community. No one is immune. You definitely see people with vulnerabilities being preyed upon, but we also see kids who you wouldn't expect who were targeted just through social media. And the woman who will share with us at the event in Hernando, she was trafficked in college. So I don't think that's what we normally see as what you have in your head of, what a trafficking victim looks like.
Oh, that's tragic and heartbreaking. We have thousands of viewers that watch us each and every morning, Lindsay. If we're watching right now, we're very concerned about human trafficking. What can people do to help and alleviate this problem?
Yeah, become aware of what the signs are so that you can know who to call. We always discourage people from getting involved directly. If they think they see a case, you need to call trained law enforcement. But we have a ton of resources on our website at knowmorems.org, and you can look us up and just look through the list of indicators and be familiar with that. And then we have some videos for different professionals. If you're in banking or if you're a teacher, there are things that you can be watching for specifically. And then just know the hotline and know who to call. Sometimes local law enforcement is very aware and informed, and sometimes they're not. So we have a national hotline who will get you in touch with the right people.
Again, can you go over October 23rd and 24th in Hernando and the Nesbitt area?
Yeah, the 23rd is the dinner at the Gin at Nesbitt, and it's going to be catered by Kendall Adair, who was on MasterChef, so we know the food's going to be good. And then we'll have a survivor speak with us, and she's worked with our group before. We always love hearing from her. Her story of redemption and recovery is very powerful, so we need to focus on that aspect as well sometimes, and not just on the horrible things. And then on Tuesday, we'll be at the Gale Center, and it's an all-day event starting at 8:30, and we'll hear from the district attorney's office, law enforcement, service providers, the Department of Health, people across the state who are working on this issue. We just want to provide some good training and then also networking and resources for anyone who works in this area or just wants to have more information.
Okay, Lindsay Simmons, board president for Mississippians Against Human Trafficking. We appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Thank you for all of this information, and good luck on the event later this month in Hernando and Nesbitt.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us here on the Digital Desk this morning, giving you a first alert to a beautiful weekend across the Mid-South. But we hope for a little bit of rainfall at some point in time, right? We need it desperately, but just not in the cards for us, at least in the next couple of days. Today, more sunshine, temperatures in the 50s early on towards 80 degrees today. Winds coming out of the west. Some gusts around 15, 20, 25 miles per hour today, as you'll notice here on the Futurecast winds. They'll turn more northerly late today. We'll have some gusts around 20, 25 miles per hour. Winds will go calm tonight, but they'll turn more westerly tomorrow. The thing about that westerly wind is it's typically a warmer wind for us. So by tomorrow afternoon, it's really going to get cranking. Some gusts around 30 miles per hour will be possible across the Mid-South as that frontal boundary, another frontal boundary, starts to make its way into the area. It's a dry front, though. We will see a few clouds associated with said front, but no rain showers associated with it. Here's a look at the Futurecast temperatures on our way to the upper 70s, sitting near 80 degrees here today. We'll drop back down through the 50s to start off early on your Saturday morning. From there, a rebound right back towards the 80s. Here's the thing about tomorrow's forecast. Some high clouds streaming in, actually not from the Gulf of Mexico, but actually from the Pacific. It comes from a tropical system, Norma, moving onshore in Mexico. For us, again, we'll just see some high clouds, no rain showers. But the question mark is, how thick will these high clouds be and the timing of those high clouds? The quicker those clouds get in here and the more invasive those clouds could be, the temperatures may be a little bit cooler. If not, if we end up with more sunshine, the atmosphere would produce highs likely in the middle 80s for tomorrow. So definitely a warm day expected. We're going to go low 80s for highs just because of that factor of we could see those high clouds streaming in here, but still nonetheless it's going to be a warm day no matter how you shake it, especially comparatively to normal for this time of the year where the average heights in the mid 70s. We'll go for 50s and to near 60 to start off on Sunday and a quick rebound back to the middle 70s with sunshine for your day on Sunday. Speaking of which, again, there you go, 82 to 75 with that weak frontal boundary dropping into the area. Filtered sunshine on Saturday because again those high clouds streaming in later in the day, but I think we start off the day with full sunshine. Looking ahead to the football forecast, Arkansas and Mississippi State in Fayetteville, that's an 11 o'clock kickoff. 84 degrees though by probably the end of the game. 86 up in Jonesboro as A-State is at home. UAPB and Valley and JSU going for high temperatures in the upper 80s tomorrow to near 90 degrees. Tennessee taking the road trip to Tuscaloosa to go up against Alabama. That's the 2:30 game tomorrow. 83, mostly sunny skies. We'll keep the sunshine theme going just up the road along I-2059. And Birmingham for the Memphis Tigers going up against UAB. And then TSU in Nashville. Gorgeous day of weather, near 80 degrees. And Ole Miss, a late game on the Plains against Auburn, going for a high of 77 degrees in southeast Alabama. So a look ahead. We're looking towards a chance for some showers. We need it desperately. It's going to be down the road a couple of days. There's a frontal boundary that will start to make some progress in our direction that could bring us some rain opportunities as we go towards the back end of the week next week, and maybe some cooler weather to go along with it as well. But in the short term, just not really working for us. So if you're looking for some rain, just nothing to really work with us here in the next couple of days. A high near 80 today. We'll go low 80s going into your Saturday. It's breezy as we go through the next few days. And those breezes, especially tomorrow, some gusty around say 25 to 30 miles per hour. 75 as we head towards your Sunday, and then a rebound towards the lower 80s heading throughout much of next week. So well above average for this time of the year. And notice on the back end of that 7-day forecast, as much as we'd love to see this be a little closer to us, the rain chances are pretty slim and on the back end of that forecast. And unfortunately, as we've seen the modeling the last couple of days, it has actually gotten progressively later and later. So that's something that we'll be watching for over the next few days, is when that system will finally make some progress in our direction to actually bring us some rain and maybe some cooler temperatures. But in the meantime, dry and mild. That's the story here in the Mid-South.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. 9:31, 65 degrees as you're taking a live look from our High Five camera downtown Memphis. The sunshine all across Memphis and the Mid-South. Got a great day and a great weekend ahead. We'll be talking more about the forecast in just a little bit. But right now, I want to show you the cover of La Prensa Latina, the largest bilingual newspaper across the Memphis area, and it is celebrating the Day of the Dead in Memphis. A beautiful cover, very creative, very colorful. I love it. It's looking great. Vivian Fernandez de Adamson joining us as she does each and every Friday. She is on the digital desk. Vivian, how are you? Good morning.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? Good morning.
Good to see you. So tell me about Day of the Dead. I know that's a big celebration coming up in a couple of weeks.
Yes, exactly. Day of the Dead is a big celebration, not only in Mexico, but actually in a lot of countries in Latin America, and obviously in the US now, because, with the growth of the Hispanic population, this culture is like more present now today. So actually tomorrow there's going to be one of the first events that we're going to have to celebrate this wonderful tradition. It's going to be across town. It's going to be with Casa Teatro. So it's a preview of the Day of the Dead. And you're going to see like different dances and the Catrinas, of course, different things that represent this tradition. So just to explain a little bit about what Day of the Dead is, it's a celebration of our ancestors. Really, that's what it is. I'm sure that you have seen movies like Coco, for instance, or The Book of Life. So that's what it is. It's a celebration of our ancestors, our family that have died already. And then you have to, you want to remember them, especially with altars, or, you can put up these altars and you can celebrate them with their favorite food and drinks, things like that, even pictures or even toys if it is, regarding children. So basically, like I said before, that's what it is. You're going to celebrate and remember the dead ones, your loved family members that have already died.
Yes, and again, I love the cover here. It's beautiful, and it really kind of shows kind of what it's about and the various intricacies, the costumes, and that sort of thing. Something else I saw on La Prensa Latina is this local author, is releasing her second children's book. I remember when she released her first one. Tell me more.
Yes, her first book was called Sometimes in English, Sometimes in Spanish. Now, this one is called Emily in Tennessee and Emilia in Guayaquil. So, to begin with, both books are based on her own children. And why is she doing this? She's doing this because she's a Spanish teacher here in Memphis, and she wants to base most of her lessons in books. Obviously, she wants to look for books in Spanish, and it was very hard for her to find like good books in Spanish, especially for children here in Memphis, even in the whole Mid-South area. So, looking around, and just the fact that she couldn't find anything, she thought about it and she said, well, maybe I can write something about both cultures, that represents not only American children, but also Latin children, and the children that, yes, are coming from Latin families, but they live here as well, or they were born here. So, and they have, like maybe an American father and a Latin mother, or vice versa. So that's what she wanted to do, and that's what she did exactly with these books. I mean, they're bilingual, and not only they're good for children, but also for their parents, because when you're reading, you see in one page, you see something in English, and then on the other page, you see something in Spanish, so you can relate to it, and you can see what it is, and understand exactly what it means at the same time. So it is a very good idea, and then both books are on sale on Amazon, and also, not only that, she also has her own blog for teachers in Spanish here in Memphis, or, even if you are, somewhere else in the United States, that they have like very helpful resources, for you to teach Spanish, it's very good.
Excellent. And then you can read much more on the pages of La Prensa Latina, laprensalatina.com. Vivian, anything else before we let you go?
No, well, just, have a great weekend. And obviously, thank you so much for your words about our front covers. You're so amazing, Andrew. All of you guys, thank you very much. And then I just wanted to remind you again, there's a Day of the Dead celebration tomorrow across town, starting at 5 o'clock. And the other one is going to be at the Brooks Museum on Overton Park. That's going to be next week on the 28th. There's going to be the parade and the festival, and everything starts at 11:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock.
Perfect. You got it in there. Vivian Fernandez de Adamson, La Prensa Latina. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend and have fun this weekend, okay?
You too. Thank you, Andrew. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Another live look from our High Five camera in downtown Memphis. Back in 60 seconds. Okay, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk. The time now 9:38. A groundbreaking study will soon be underway that researchers say will transform the way doctors treat patients battling certain life-threatening conditions. This was the subject of this morning's Best Life report. Got a lot of traction here. It's expected to save hundreds of thousands of lives each and every year. Check this out. Despite decades of research and clinical trials, there hasn't been much progress in finding effective treatments for pneumonia, sepsis, and acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS.
ARDS kills as many as 30 or 40% of the people it strikes. Yeah, it's really serious.
The go-to treatment is antibiotics, but even then, only 50% of patients recover. Research say that's because these kinds of illnesses affect each patient differently. Dr. Samuel Brown compares the current treatment for ARDS to a fruit basket.
We got apples and oranges, bananas, papayas, guavas, mangoes in the fruit basket. And you say, well, this thing I think will work for apples, so let's do it for the whole fruit basket. But phenotyping is saying, well, no, let's identify the individual fruits.
That's why researchers are spending the next few years collecting intensive data on thousands of patients with the goal of uncovering all the different forms of ARDS. Studying patients' genetics and biological traits will give researchers a blueprint for these life-threatening conditions, allowing them to tailor treatment to each patient and giving them a better shot at recovery. So researchers from 22 different hospitals across the country will begin enrolling patients next year. I want to talk about infants and infant sleep safety. So according to the Centers for Disease Control, there are about 3,400 sudden unexpected infant deaths each year in the U.S. Many of those are caused by unsafe sleep conditions and situations. Dr. Sarah Lazarus with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, the Strong for Life program, says that the risk of sudden unexpected infant death syndrome is the highest for children under the age of 6 months. Researchers say keeping babies safe when they are asleep is as easy as ABC, standing for alone, back, and clear.
As long as your child is not rolling over, they need to be truly placed on their back, that the mattress be really firm and flat, so you don't want to use any inclined sleep surfaces.
Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says to also dress your child lightly for sleep in a room that is in a cool range that's comfortable, and then use a sleep sack in colder months as an alternative to blankets. Are you maximizing your health benefits? Boy, that is the question. We know open enrollment is underway right now, and those with both Medicare and Medicaid may qualify for dual special needs plans and additional benefits that can help with everyday needs. But let's talk a little bit more about open enrollment and how we can maximize our health benefits. Dr. Gina Williams is joining us now. She's the medical director at United Healthcare. Dr. Williams, good morning to you. Can you discuss who qualifies for dual special needs and what they cost? Good morning.
Sure. Good morning. Thank you for having me. And absolutely. So as you mentioned, people who have both Medicaid and Medicare may qualify for a dual special needs plan, also known as a D-SNP plan. In particular, United Healthcare has a dual complete plan, which is a D-SNP plan. And with that plan, you may qualify for a $0 monthly premium. And these are plans who are really focused on whole person care and giving additional support to people who need it because of age, health conditions, and disabilities.
Let's talk about some of the unique benefits that people can access through a dual special needs plan.
Sure. So there are a number of unique benefits with these D-SNP plans. And in particular, again, with the focus being on whole person care, you can have $0 copays for covered prescriptions, for routine dental care, for vision exams, for hearing exams. And with United Healthcare's dual complete plan, you actually get a U card, and that U card is used to have a monthly credit. And that credit can be used for paying for things like your utility bill, paying for over-the-counter products such as bandages, and also for paying for healthy groceries, so fresh fruits and vegetables and other things. So there are a lot of unique benefits about this plan.
Dr. Williams, we know that open enrollment is underway, and it's so important to let people know about the healthcare information to maximize our benefits. If you had to say maybe 2 or 3 things that people should be doing right now to maximize their health benefits during open enrollment, what would it be?
So I would say to make sure that you are going online, and in particular, you can go to getdual.com or getdual.com to learn more about whether or not you are eligible for a D-SNP plan. And with this D-SNP plan, determining if the benefits are right for you. It's important to figure out, do I need a healthcare coordinator to kind of help me stay on track with my preventive visits, with annual wellness? We really want to make sure that you're not only going to the doctor when you're sick, but also you're going at least once a year to address things like vaccinations, things like a screenings for different medical conditions, as well as making sure that you are learning about the benefits that are available for everyday needs, like the monthly credit, the U card.
Okay, Dr. Gina Williams with United Healthcare, Medical Director. We appreciate your time this morning. Valuable information for all of us. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, it's 9:45, 65 degrees, looking at that beautiful shot from our High 5 camera in downtown Memphis. Just bathing in sunshine right now. We got a great forecast for the weekend. Meteorologist Patrick Ellis has your first alert to the forecast coming up. Let's talk Grizzlies, shall we? I'm so ready for this season. It's going to be a great season, right? Let's talk about it here because the regular season opens this Wednesday. Team has to finish up the preseason. They play the Bucks tonight in Milwaukee. Grizzlies head coach Taylor Jenkins says tonight's game is about getting those finishing touches before the season begins.
It's about us every single night, but especially tomorrow, getting a feel for kind of our lineup combinations. We'll see what the 48 minutes present. Continue grasping the offensive concepts that we've been talking about. The first gear, like the kind of play calls, dead ball situations. As we've added some more things, making sure we're feeling good about them and guys are understanding where they need to be.
All right, and the cool thing about tonight's game is Marcus Smart is expected to be in the lineup tonight. First time we'd seen him wearing a Grizzlies uniform. Tip-off tonight in Milwaukee is at 7 o'clock. And don't forget, the Grizzlies got the regular season opener at FedEx Forum against New Orleans this coming Wednesday. And the team is certainly trying to get the fans hyped for the season. Front office has a nice lineup for you all across Memphis and the Mid-South. So they got tonight at the Rail Garden. You can watch the Grizzlies take on the Bucks in their final preseason game. Next week, the Claw Crew will be across town, all across Memphis and the Mid-South with various swag and ticket giveaways. Full schedule of when you can meet them, it's on our website right now, actionnews5.com. Let's talk about the Memphis Tiger football team playing the University of Alabama at Birmingham tomorrow. Two teams will face off what's known as the Battle of the Bones. They take home a rib-shaped trophy with a win, of course, in the record books. Kickoff tomorrow morning in Birmingham at 11 o'clock. Big SEC matchup also tomorrow. SEC Nation will be there. It's Alabama versus Tennessee in Tuscaloosa. 17th ranked Vols travel to Alabama to play the 11th ranked Crimson Tide. Tennessee, as you probably know, beat Alabama in a thriller last year, and some native Memphians who play for Tennessee seem pretty confident this year.
Not anything different, but we definitely have our hands full.
How much pride do y'all have in Memphis, and how nice is it when you come a few hours away to school that you got so many guys from your hometown here that are with you?
It's a great feeling. It's like having people from home here at home. So it's just a great feeling knowing that you got people that's gonna have your back no matter what.
All right, the Volunteers and the Tide kick off tomorrow afternoon, 2:30 in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, want you to take a look at this. We got a big book sale coming up. Friends of the Library hosting their fall book sale. It starts 1 week from Thursday. That's Thursday, October 26th, a preview sale, and then it goes into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's talk a little bit more about this huge book sale with a couple different ladies joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. I have Ann Bailey Mitchell. Ann, are you there?
No, Ann's not here. We actually have Mary Aronoff. I'm the chair of the book sale, and we also have my co-chair. She refers to herself as a Sherpa, Joyce Lauer.
Well, we got some wrong information from the person who set up this interview. So, but I'm glad that you guys are friends of the library, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
For sure.
And the thing
So
you
tell
got
us-
right was all the dates.
Yes, exactly. Let's go ahead and tell me more about this while I put up the flyer one more time. Tell me about this book sale. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, the book sale is going to start. Our previous sales on Thursday evening, starting at 3 o'clock. Friends of the Library members are invited to come that day, but you can join at the door. You can join online. And if you go the first day, you'll get 10% off of your sales. You'll also get 10% off if you come to our second editions bookstore, which is where we're sitting right now. The sale goes through Sunday. Sunday is the bag sale day. That goes from 11 till 2. And whatever is not sold the first 3 days gets sold on the bag sale day. We provide the bags and boxes. Whatever you can fill in a box is $12. Whatever you can fill in a bag is $6. And it's a wild day. But remember, whatever is left over, the first 3 days, we have a gigantic selection of books, records, CDs, VHS tapes,
children's books,
magazines, sheet music. The books run the gamut from hardback, paperback. We've got some mystery boxes of paperbacks for specially priced. We're going to also have banned books this time. We'll have a whole selection of banned books. So we're going to have a big selection of any subject that you'd be interested in.
That looks
it's so much
fantastic.
fun.
I mean, you have not only the books, but CDs and DVDs and vinyls. And this is, I know, a big fundraiser for the Friends of the Library, correct?
That is correct. We do this twice a year. We do it in the fall and we do it in the spring. And we raise the funds to help the library's programs. We help sponsor special activities such as Boo Books, which is a Halloween event for children. Also Bookstock, which is where we invite writers to come make presentations and sign books. Senior Health Fair, we sponsor special programs at all the different branches. We help sponsor Club 901 for teenagers. There's many activities that we help sponsor with the proceeds of the sale.
It's fantastic. It looks amazing, and I know it's something that is very popular that you guys have been doing for a long time. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go?
Well, Andrew, I just think people need to understand how much fun it is to come and see all the people that come. And when you walk in the room and you see these thousands of books that are there, and it's such good prices, people just can't believe it. And you see old friends and you have fun and you go home with a whole stack of books that you can sit down this fall and have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and read all winter. And there's holiday books you can pick up gifts so that you can start that Christmas shopping this coming week.
And the books are at bargain prices. Believe me, they're bargain prices. So come all.
And come every day.
Yes,
Yeah, every day.
I love it. I love it. Ladies, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Best of luck with this book sale. I know it will be successful like it is each and every year. We appreciate your time this morning.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Okay, well, we know about the maze, the corn maze at the Agri Center. It is so amazing, and Kim Clark highlights all aspects of it in this 5-star story.
Right behind the Agri Center's Farmers Market, just off Germantown and Walnut Grove, lies the Mid-South Corn Maze. This year's design, an astronaut planting an American flag. The theme, Lost in Space.
Aliens, zombified astronauts, everything.
Justin Taylor, who calls himself the Colonel,
The corny spelling.
says the maze was started on a college whim.
Right out of school, started this in 2001, and 23 years later, we're still here doing it. The very first corn maze was the skyline of Memphis. And I repeated that for the 20th year anniversary. And that was actually over in Crittenden County, Arkansas.
The next year, the Colonel brought the maze to Memphis and the Agri Center.
It's right in the middle of town. We're right here at Germantown Road in Walnut Grove. It's a great location. And just the mission statement of Agri Center is introducing people to agriculture. And we do a lot of school groups, church groups. A lot of people have never been in a cornfield before until they set foot in this one.
Every year, the corn maze takes on a new design.
We have a big dartboard and we throw ears of corn at it, and wherever it lands, that's what we choose.
Are you serious?
No.
The Colonel says they actually try to pick themes that appeal to kids, even caricatures of Grizzlies players. But if mazes aren't your thing, don't fret.
And if you come out here to the corn maze, there's so much more to do out here, like corn cannons.
You can win a Tops barbecue cheeseburger, barbecue sandwich, jumping pillow, which is like a big bouncy, jumpy house.
There's even a spot to take memorable photos.
And then, of course, everything is haunted in October. So Friday and Saturday nights in October and Halloween, we have all the scary stuff and the haunted hayride.
However, the big draw out here is the corn maze.
Now, the Colonel tells me that the average time for this maze is about 45 minutes to an hour, but sometimes people get a little lost. Hello?
Absolutely. People get lost year after year. That's what you're here for.
But it's all in good, wholesome fun.
You're putting your phone down. You're outside with your family. You're sweating, exercising, and just enjoying something that is not in the norm of your regular routine.
If you do get lost, the Colonel says there's help at the end of the night.
We send the rescue dogs in at midnight.
Not completely sure whether he's joking or not, but just in case.
Hello?
Somewhere, lost in space and the Mid-South Corn Maze.
Help!
Kim Clark, Action News 5.
Right now, I want to talk about this, the Walk to End Alzheimer's in Memphis. It is coming up this Saturday at Tiger Lane. Joining me more to talk about this walk and what it means for the Alzheimer's Association, Jill Norcross, an incredible volunteer and advocate representing the Alzheimer's Association this morning. She is joining us on the digital desk. Jill, how are you?
Good morning, Andrew. I'm great. Got a little puppy dog talking to me as well.
Well, you know that our animals can sense when we're on and when we're off, and certainly I noticed that too. So all good, though, all good. So this Saturday, the big walk, looking forward to joining you guys and being at Tiger Lane bright and early Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Tell me more about this event.
You know, it's going to be amazing. Unlike last year, I think we've got some good weather headed our way. So there is absolutely no excuse. I am so excited. This is our third year to walk. My husband and I, our first walk was 3 years ago, and we only walked as a couple. We were sort of dipping our toes into the water, so to speak. And we did it to really make connections with the Alzheimer's Association, as well as to seek out other people who were in their journey with the disease, Alzheimer's and other dementia diseases. So from there, we have built a team, and my numbers are tracking really well. I think I'm going to double donations from last year, and I think we're going to have a much bigger turnout. So expecting a big group for Team Rabono. That is our team name. And behind me, you can see the blue flower.
Yeah.
That is Rob's blue flower that he carries. And for those in the audience who are not aware, there are 4 different flowers that people participating in the walk carry. Blue signifies those living with Alzheimer's or another dementia disease. Yellow signifies caregivers. Orange are all the people who support the Alzheimer's Association and others striving to annihilate this disease. And purple is for those who walk in remembrance of someone who has already died from Alzheimer's or another dementia. There's another flower that has yet to make an appearance, but we hope it's going to come very soon, and that's white. White signifies the first survivor of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, I have a special connection too, and that's why I believe so much in this organization and the Walk to End Alzheimer's. I love that title. My father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's several years ago, and so I'm honored to be a part of the event on Saturday and be out there with everyone at Tiger Lane. So many people have been affected by Alzheimer's, either directly or indirectly. If they want to be a part of this walk, what's the best way for them to be a part of it, Jill?
Well, you can certainly connect with the local Alzheimer's Association. You can register online via act.alz.org/Memphis, or you can just show up around 8 o'clock, 8:30 Saturday morning. We'll be assembling at Tiger Lane. So enter off Central Avenue and just follow the designated signs to parking and register in person. If you have a team that you want to join, you're perfectly welcome to join a team. You can create your own team or you can walk as an individual. Again, it's going to be a lovely morning. We'll be walking through Cooper Young neighborhood, and it's just a great way to celebrate one another, to come together as a community to support each other. That's what's so very meaningful for me. As a caregiver, sometimes it can be very isolating. And when you are in a group, a community group like this, you feel like you're not alone. For my husband, Rob, who was diagnosed in 2018 at the age of 55, the first time we participated, we really wanted to make connections. We used it more as a networking opportunity, not only to meet local Alzheimer's Association staff, but others like us who are walking this journey. It's just impossible to do it alone. You need a huge support group, and we are very fortunate. We've got great friends, family, neighbors, church members. We have not been abandoned, but that doesn't mean that we are not looking for more new people, more connections, just to help us bear this burden.
Jill, God bless you and your husband. I mean, diagnosed at age 53, you said? That's awfully early.
55, yes, 55.
Still, that is, my heart goes out to you and everything that you guys are doing. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the treatments and advances in treatments? I always, my ears always are up anytime I hear there's been advancements when it comes to Alzheimer's and dementia, and I know that there's been some recent developments. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Absolutely, and just from a personal perspective, my husband and I are very research-centric. We believe in science. There's a bumper sticker that I often see, "Science matters," and I absolutely endorse that. Without science, without funding research, and dollars contributed towards this walk actually fund live research that is trying to identify causes of the disease and develop disease-modifying treatments. But 2023 has been a new era of treatment. It's really, really an exciting time, and we're just gaining so much momentum. The FDA approved a new drug for those in early stages or with mild cognitive impairment called lecanemab. It's marketed as Leqembi. Again, it's for those in the early stages of Alzheimer's or mild cognitive impairment. So it can prolong their productivity, their functionality for a certain period of time. Time is so critical. You need time to plan. You need time to maybe check a few things off your bucket list to get through some important milestones. Rob and I were huge planners, and early diagnosis really benefited us in that regard. I will also say that the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare approved Leqembi, which is just so exciting. If you have an FDA-approved drug and Medicare and Medicaid won't cover it, it's really not that valuable to the general public. So Leqembi is the first breakthrough disease modifying treatment that is covered by CMS or covered through insurance. Also, just last Friday, the CMS changed its policy about PET scans. PET scans are used to identify Alzheimer's, and it's a very definitive test. So they're very expensive, probably $5,000 to $6,000, depending on which market you live in. Those PET scans are now covered by CMS. So that's late breaking news as of Friday, the 13th of October.
Fantastic. And so glad that you're able to bring that up, Jill. I also want to again let people know this Saturday, October 21st, the Memphis Walk to End Alzheimer's. Registration begins 8 o'clock in the morning. This is going to be at Tiger Lane, right there, Simmons Bank, Liberty Stadium. Registration begins at 8. The walk begins at 9. And what I find fitting, Jill, is that this is a walk to end Alzheimer's. This isn't just a walk, it's a walk to end Alzheimer's, and there are new treatments, as you just mentioned, that are coming ever so gradually, but the research and then the funding for that research is so valuable.
Absolutely. And again, my husband participated in a clinical trial. He is actually, he will be a brain donor upon his death. So we can't encourage the audience enough to invest in science, celebrate science, fund the science, and we can do this in a joyful way by coming together for the Walk to End Alzheimer's in Memphis. Walk with your friends, walk with your neighbors, meet people, bring your pet on a leash if it's well behaved. I'll be bringing 2 of our household pets. And again, just connect with one another as a community, because Alzheimer's, I have learned, is a team sport. We need everyone. 6 million Americans have been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. 6 million.
Yeah.
And
so,
the numbers are projected to escalate. I'm not even going to throw the number out there. It's just horrifying. So if this has not impacted you directly yet, it will. 6 million Americans.
Exactly. All right. The Walk to End Alzheimer's by the Alzheimer's Association. You can register at act.alz.org/Memphis. Listen, Jill Norcross, thank you. Thank you for talking about your story. And I'll see you out there on Saturday again. It starts at 8 o'clock. You don't have to even register online. You can just show up at 8 o'clock. Going to be a great day. Lows in the mid-50s, highs in the mid-70s. And is that little cute one going to be out there too?
This is Mabel. She is dressed in her purple. Purple is the signature color of the Alzheimer's Association, which is just the perfect blend of blue for steadfastness, and red, which is the passion and energy. So wear your purple.
Perfect. All right, Jill Norcross, thank you so much. We know Halloween is rapidly approaching, a couple weeks away here. Zombies are growing among us, and we're talking about the trees. There's what's considered zombie trees, and with all the dry weather, unusually dry weather we've had this season, these trees can look healthy, but they're actually dead. Let's talk more about this issue right now with Nathan Baker. He's district manager of Jones Brothers Trees and Landscapes. Nathan, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us once again on the Digital Desk. We appreciate you being here. So let's talk about the signs of what a zombie tree looks like. Good morning.
Good morning, Andrew. So when we're talking about zombie trees, we're not talking about a festive tree, right? We're talking about these are actual trees in your landscapes that are all around in the city of Memphis. So zombie trees in particular are trees that may not seem dangerous, but have some underlying issues. So we're talking about damage from some of the storms that we had this year. We're talking about some heat stress trees. We're talking about trees that can have all sorts of hidden damages and that are hard to spot for the homeowner. So luckily, there's some ways to spot the signs. Okay, so how do you identify them? So some issues you could check to identify and prevent damage. You could take a walk around your yard. You could inspect trees for dead limbs or decay. You could look for cracks in the bark that extend into the tree's trunk or limbs. You could have some discolored foliage. So we're getting into fall now where the trees leaves are going to start changing colors. But you want to make sure that you don't have anything abnormal. So if your tree started dropping leaves in July and August, there's possible that there's some issues with that tree. Is your tree lifting at the roots? Is it leaning excessively? These could all be signs of trouble.
Yeah, and we have thousands of viewers that join us each and every morning here, Nathan, on the Digital Desk. If some of those symptoms that you mentioned are resonating with people and they think, my tree might be a zombie tree, what should they do? Is there another way to confirm it?
So you should get an expert opinion. If you notice any issues with your tree health check, call a certified arborist, and certified arborists can help address problems that are visible to the naked eye. Plus, they could help identify damage lurking inside the tree, and they can help you create a plan of action. When you're looking to get an expert opinion, make sure you verify that they have some certification. So we're talking about ISA certification, TCIA accreditation. Make sure you're checking for proof of insurance and even possibly a list of references. Hiring an unqualified arborist can cost you more in the long run, since you may end up losing that tree and having to replace instead of being able to salvage that tree. A lot of times, if the price sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Let me talk about this. So let's say someone has identified a tree in your backyard. They're like, okay, this is what's considered a zombie tree. Is there any way to salvage it, or does it have to be removed? Because we know removing a tree it costs a lot of moolah.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you have to know your options and take action. So unlike real zombies, these defective trees can be dangerous. Certainly you can develop a plan of action to get around it. So there may be some maintenance to do, including fertilizing, pruning, some cabling and bracing. So those are some of the things and measures that you can take to help mitigate some of the risk. But you also have to keep in mind, where's the tree located? If it's at the very back of your property and there's no targets around it to cause damage to, then it's going to be a lower risk tree than if that tree is, in your front yard, over your house, over your driveway where you park your cars. That tree is going to pose a higher risk level, even if it's in the same condition. So you got to keep all those things in mind, and an arborist can help you identify those hazards and help mitigate those.
Okay, and so it's been so dry here in Memphis and the Mid-South. It's such an issue. I would think there's a lot of zombie trees out there. What else can we tell our viewers right now about them and ways to deal with the problem?
All right, so zombie trees are a hazard, but unlike their namesake, they don't have to cause fear and panic. By giving your trees the attention they need and getting the right advice for your tree care questions, you can enjoy a safe fall in your landscape.
Okay. Anything else you want to mention, Nathan, before we let you go? Because I know that this is a pressing issue for a lot of people out there.
The best thing that you can do is walk around and look and do it frequently, because whenever you do it frequently, you'll be able to notice changes. If you see some changes that don't seem quite right, I would just encourage you to make sure you get an expert opinion.
Okay, Nathan Baker, Jones Brothers Trees and Landscape District Manager. Nathan, we appreciate your time. Valuable information for everybody out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.